Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the show today. Night Owls for April. Oh, we're into April. Really happy to have you here. It's actually a beautiful sunny day for me, which is rare. I haven't had one of those in quite a while. But then again, the Ides of March are now coming into April showers, so I don't think I'll have many more. But nevertheless, happy to be with you guys. Definitely got my cup of coffee and ready to go. So let me come over here and I will hit the like button and share. Hopefully, you guys will do the same. Always appreciate it so we can get as many people in here possible to have that conversation and you know get into stuff we like to get into. There is some absolute crazy stuff going on today, which is seen to be normal. I guess that's the world we live in. One thing I've noticed that no one's talking about is, a little thing over in Europe called, war in Ukraine. I mean, full on war. But I guess that's lost its interest. So, fair enough. How do you guys think about it? I'm putting in my share here right now, and then we'll go ahead and bring up the chat. See if you guys have any opinions, or are you just bored with it? Are people just done with that conversation? It might be. I know that attention spans these days aren't what they used to be. So, or maybe it's just not a very interesting topic. But anyway, let's see. We got Roger in here, flying saucer. Hey, what's up, guys? Uh, nice summer day. Yeah, well, it's certainly still cool. So it's the beginning of spring, but those are the best days, aren't they? Actually, my favorite days are in autumn. I do love those days where the sun is declining and it's cooler and you have beautiful foliage change where I come from anyway. Let's see. Dave says, "Beauty, eh? Listening on my new tablet. You're now in stereo. Oh, that's nice." No, it isn't normal, Chester. All right, fine. I know it's not, but it is what it is, Roger. Though I mean, I'm really surprised. A little actor slapping another actor has taken all the attention away from fairly serious business. Yeah, people are dying after all. Although the good thing is the Russians finally basically have taken Mariupol, which is good because that was certainly the ugliest of the stuff that was going to go on over there. So that's a really good thing. At least the terrifying situation going on in that city will come to an end. And it looks like the Russians are fairly happy about it because they're pulling out of their Kiev situation, just bolstering in the east. So I don't know. Right now we're in the mud season, so the Russians are gonna kind of lay low for a month or two. But it'll kick back up when the mud dries up, I'm sure. Nevertheless, you guys let me know what you think about that kind of stuff. I'm just really shocked. I haven't seen any conversation anywhere in the West about it. Most of the stuff I've seen has been either about Will Smith's slap, uh, Disney, and all the other lefties losing their damn minds about a Florida bill that simply says, "Yeah, we really shouldn't talk about sex things to kids until fourth grade." And I kind of guarantee a lot of parents would say, "Well, yeah, maybe we shouldn't do that till junior high," but whatever. And Dave says, "What happened to Dr. Fauci?" Well, yeah, what happened to that guy? He must be upset. That guy was so excited to be on the TV all the time. He was really happy about it. But these idiots have their finger on a nuclear bomb, and then being able to poison the air isn't normal. Yeah, fair enough. We got a lot of nuclear bombs running around, dude. There's another thing, a little bit of kind of world political news, which we don't cover that directly here so much. But the Pakistani leader Khan there, um, he's had legitimate death threats sent against him, and he is under a lot of pressure because there is a lot of trouble going to Pakistan. But the American CIA said that, oh no, there's nothing wrong over there, everything's fine. And it's turning out that that's not true. So, but I don't know. This current administration are, well, full of idiots. So what do you got to do? Uh, or trying to work on out another lockdown. Yeah, they seem to enjoyed that, didn't they? I have seen some reoccurrences of stuff like that. China's locked down hardcore, especially down in like Shanghai area in the southeast of China. They're like in some of their harshest lockdowns they've had. And there is rumors coming out of China that there's a whole new type of coronavirus kicking around there. It's unrelated to the COVID. We don't know the truth, of course, because China has, really, really locked this down. But their lockdowns are serious, so much so that they have literal drones on the ground, those little walking puppy robots, and drones in the sky threatening the citizens to not leave their houses. So that's interesting. Nevertheless, hey Eric, how are you?
Doing good. I saw you were alone, so I hopped in.
I appreciate that. That's nice of you. Your that silhouette of your bald head always makes me happy. Do you go bald, or do you actually grow the hair?
No, I keep it shaved.
Yeah, no, I think it works for you. But you like the goatee, though.
Yes, yeah, I keep the goatee because I don't have a chin.
Well,
Otherwise, I
is
look
it?
like a turtle.
Oh, fair enough. Is it a goatee or a Van Dyke, though?
Uh, what's the difference?
Well, the goatee is just underneath your lip and the bottom with no mustache or side.
I have the mustache, so
So
it's
you
a
have a Van
Van Dyke.
Dyke. Okay, there you
Yeah.
go. I think those look better anyway. But most people probably call it a goatee anyway. But yeah, I think it works for you. That's cool.
Well, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Did you have a nice weekend?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. Can't complain. Weather's been nice.
Yeah, my weather was okay this weekend. It wasn't shiny like today, but it was one of those kind of cuddle weathers. You know, a snuggle-a-thon. Those are always good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's the thing. And when you and I were kids, thinking about our parents doing any kind of snuggling was unacceptable thought.
Ooh, no, I
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah,
even
right.
want to think about that. Ugh.
But now that we're basically grandparents,
I am.
yeah, well, I know, and I'm near it, I'm sure. But there isn't any difference though, Eric. Do you feel actually older?
No, I don't. No.
No.
It's to think that I'm 50. It really doesn't feel like I'm 50. Probably my
Mm.
body's starting to catch up to 50, but my mind is still in my 20s.
Yeah, no, I agree. I guess I got a little bit more aches and pains, but I've always had those though, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, I know I'm older, but I don't really. My brain doesn't know it though.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
best way to put it. I mean, you don't really feel it. I mean,
no,
you don't comprehend that you're half a century old.
that's right. But as a grandpa, you're expected to act in a certain way.
Yeah, but I don't.
That's good. Neither do I. But and nevertheless, it is good though. My kids are both out of the house, out doing their thing, So I got my wife back. Just gotta wait for this damn dog, to pass.
Jeez.
No, he's a good
How
puppy
old is your
actually.
dog?
14 coming on 15, I guess. 15, maybe something like that.
Yeah,
14, 15. Yeah,
I've got one that's about 13.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, you're just waiting because you know it's going to happen.
well, yes and no. I kind of half-heartedly joking, but he's been a really good dog. He served his purpose. I got him specifically at the correct age to get a pet for kids in the house,
Hmm.
and he was great for that, and all that kind of stuff. I do, of course, he could go on another 6 years for all we know, and
Oh
that's
yeah.
fine. He's certainly family. But one thing I do know though, I will never have another pet again.
No,
No, I definitely won't. What about you? What's your current dog situation? You got one, or two? How many you got?
we've got two. We got two Yorkie poos. One's like I said, 13, 14. The other one is two.
Oh, wow, so you're in for the long haul, and that's
Yeah.
fine. A lot of people are, but see, I think the difference is I'm a traveler. But you're not, right? You're kind of a homebody, right?
Oh. Yeah, well, we go on vacation and stuff, go out of state, but yeah, that's the bad thing. You got a dog. What do you do with it?
Yeah,
You want someone to come over and take care of it. You really don't want to take it with you to other people's houses and hotels and stuff. So
right.
yeah, that's the bad thing about it.
It is the bad. That's the only issue I actually have. That's it. It's just that one
Yeah.
thing. Now we do good. We still take vacations and still do. So I just had to go to this thing last week, right?
Right.
But we put him in the hotel, and that's fine. We have found a hotel where he seems to really enjoy that group of dogs. So that's cool, But it is not cheap. It's not.
No, no.
It's not cheap. And I know we have that kind of running joke over here about me. But understand that I am a budgeted person, right?
Yes,
Uh,
Chester makes fun of the Jubases, but I think he's part Jubas.
yes, that's true. But it's funny. So who cares? Run with it, right? But I'm a budgeted person just like everybody else. I'm not, I'm normal. But
Now, do you take your dog to the groomer quite often?
We do. I don't know what often would be, but we
Well,
found.
and once a month or so.
I don't know if it's that frequent. I'd say more like once every 2 months or 6 weeks or something like that.
Well, our younger one, little Yorkie Poo, his hair grows fast, so we take him about once a month.
Oh,
And
okay.
every time he comes back, he's as horny as can be. He's got his little red rocket out like crazy.
Mm, we haven't had much problem with that with our dog.
Oh,
He's
okay.
gay, so
Oh, well.
yeah, yeah. He still pisses like a girl. He's never pissed like a boy.
Jeez.
Yeah. Well, I tried to help her. I tried to demonstrate, but it didn't work.
That's a shame.
That's a shame. But that's all right. It doesn't matter. I mean, he's a house dog, and he's loved and he's had a good life, so he's well taken care of. But we're
Yeah.
not crazy, crazy pamperers. Of course, he's part of the family, but we don't take him to the groomer every 2 weeks or so like some people do. We don't dress
Oh, yeah.
him in stuff. We don't do that kind of stuff.
Mm.
But he gets good food, and he always is always played with and interacted with. So you know.
Where does he sleep?
Well, we were having a little problem about a year and a half ago or so where he was puking a lot, and he actually had a couple
Oh,
times where he just had this explosive defecation in the house and in
oh,
the room. Well, in
jeez.
the room we left him. Yeah, no, we lost a
Mm.
couple of rugs. So I put the cage we had way back when he was a pup, right? I just put it in storage. I pulled it out, and I was kind of anytime we left the house, I was leaving him in the cage because you know how dogs are; they won't shit in their own bed, right? They're
Not supposed to, yeah,
yeah.
but I've had a couple that have.
Well, if they're sick, right? And I think he was
Yeah.
having that kind of problem. But he's hasn't not having the problem anymore, which is good. But
Okay.
I just kind of still have the cage in the room. I just don't lock it anymore. But
Oh,
it's
okay.
his home. It's where he goes and hangs out and stuff. It's comfortable in there. It's got his smell and it's got his
Mm.
cushions and all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah, yeah.
it's one of
Ours
the
sleep with us.
yeah. Well, no, so does he. So does he. But right now, for instance, he's sitting sleeping in his cage. He didn't have to. He could be
Oh,
anywhere.
cool.
I got
Yeah.
the house completely open. Sometimes I do he usually stays near us. I think dogs are like that. But occasionally I do find him. Because I leave the house fairly open, especially this time of year, if I'm not having to conserve energy or something, right?
Hmm.
But sometimes I find him way on the other side because I kind of live. The way I live is more like apartment living than anything, really. Even though it's not an apartment, because this is like a compound where it has a courtyard in the center, and it's like a rectangular building where open air courtyard in the middle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an old building. It's really old, which I love. I think that's awesome. But I only use this kind of back part of the box, really. Right? We live in this, and I have some storage on the right side. And on the left side, I have a study and study den thing, and my wife has like washroom over on that side too. But I only use about I don't know half of it, maybe
Oh, wow.
less than half. And the other side for me, the other end of the rectangle, the short end of the rectangle, I let the locals here use for like a preschool type of place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And they always got a bunch of kids over. Sometimes they wander in here while I'm doing the show. But there's a few ladies that run it, and I don't know all the business side of it. I think they do charge some money, but it's Japan level of money. It's pretty low, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but let that get used, and because I got a bunch of property here, but I don't use it. So, why not let other people use it? I bought it simply because it was so damn cheap. I couldn't believe it, right? And but
Right. Yeah.
I got one old man who is using this whole big wooded section I got up here, and he's growing mushrooms in there.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like a mushroom
Hmm.
farm, and I don't charge him anything. I just let him use it, but I do get free mushrooms.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, stuff like that. So, uh, but um, but yeah, no, I don't know. I do see a lot of some of the real rich people will have those big old mansions, and it's like, what are you doing with it? I mean, because
There's a point. It's too much space.
yeah, that's exactly my point. I mean, this building, I'm glad I bought it though, because like I said, it's really old. I love those old. This thing's over 150 years old, right? The wood is
Hmm.
gorgeous. And like I had the big earthquake hit right under us, right? And the newer pole barn I built simply to hold equipment and more storage and stuff like that, right? That's the thing that had trouble. The brand new, architecture has had problems. This ancient thing here had no cracks anywhere, dude.
It was built better.
Yeah, it was, I guess. Huh? Yeah. But anyway, what are you guys living in?
Well, we're in a two-story home, 5 bedrooms. Even though there's just the two of us left, all the kids have finally moved out.
Right.
My brother's no longer with us, so he was. So one of the bedrooms is my office. One of the other bedrooms, we have a setup for the grandgirls. They come over every
Hmm.
weekend to the grandkids.
Sure.
Another one of the bedrooms is my other office. I'm going to condense those so we have an extra bedroom for when people come over.
Oh yeah, no, that makes sense. So you got like the standard American ranch house, what they call it, and they call it ranch.
Yeah, but it's a two-story. Yeah, ranch will basically be a one-story. So yeah.
Is it? I thought it was two
Mhm.
story. Well, what do you call what you got then? What is that called?
I just call it a two-story.
Just a two-story. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I know I can envision it.
yeah.
I haven't been in the States in a while, but I know what you're meaning. But
Yeah,
yeah,
we got a living room, dining room, kitchen.
yeah, sure,
The
normal stuff.
bathrooms.
Right.
Yeah, all the regular stuff.
The one thing I know, this is going to sound horrible, but what's new from me? But I'm kind of glad I don't live in near my family, because I know for frick sure if I had this kind of property over there, I'd have my brother here for sure.
Grammys are on.
Hey, did you hear my wife?
No, what did she say?
You want to show?
She doesn't know I want to show. Hold on, Chester.
Alrighty, that's funny. But yeah, no, I know I definitely have my brother up in here living with me because he's one of those. Do you guys have those? Do you have the family member, the cousin, the brother, the sister, the aunt, uncle, whatever, that just kind of always ends up floating on the family? You have that? I have that.
Of
But I
course,
don't
we
live.
all do. We all do.
Yeah, sure. Those are called Simpson houses. That's right, Dave. That's right. Uh, but yeah, I always thought they were a ranch, but I guess I was wrong. But yeah, no, I know it sounds horrible, but I'm glad, because here in Japan, I've never been like that. I'm always like my dad, right? So I'd never ask anybody for a penny, right? Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but my brother's not like that. Neither is my sister. I don't know how they could be so different. But here in Japan, that's the mentality. You never ask for a penny. I mean, Japanese are
Right,
freaking
right.
stubborn, right? So, but do you have a family member that's always loafing on you, or did you dodge that?
I try to dodge it. They don't loaf so much. We do have a lot of them just come over though.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't mind that so much though.
Yeah,
But
well, it's a big family actually because I'm divorced. The wife was divorced. When we got married, it's a blended family, so there's ended
sure,
up being 5 kids in total.
you're the Brady Bunch.
And yeah, yeah, 5 kids, and they all have spouses or soon to be spouses. The last two are getting married this year,
Nice,
and there's two more grandkids on the way too. So I
nice.
mean, so you got 10 kids that come over with all their kids, so it's almost 20 people coming over, plus me and Jennifer, my wife. Holidays are very crowded around here.
That's good though. You must
It
love
is good.
that.
It is good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The only bad thing is my son. He's the only one that doesn't live near us. He lives up in Michigan.
Oh, I see, I see. Yeah, no, I'm gonna have that problem, unfortunately, me, because when I was little, I grew up with my dad's family's not small, but my mom's family, I mean, Jesus, I mean, she was the youngest 13 kids, right?
Oh wow,
And
yeah.
my grandmother after the war adopted 5 kids as well, right? So I
Ooh.
have 18 or 17 aunts and uncles, right? So and all the cousins. So my family is ridiculously stupid large, but I kind of miss it because here in Japan they're much more condensed families. I kind of loved growing up with that enormous family, especially around the holidays. Well, it's just different, I guess. Yeah, no, I mean, 'cause my problem's going to be this when my daughter is already living in a city three and a half, four, 3.5 hours, 4 hours away from us, right?
Mm.
And my son is still in university, but he did get a job
Oh,
already,
okay,
which is
cool.
yeah, it's very cool, dude. He's going to be a
He was going for engineering, wasn't he?
yes, he is. He's in engineering,
Good,
and
good.
he wanted to
Very
quit.
good field.
It is a good field, and he wanted to quit and get a job after bachelor's, and I was like, nope. No, no, you're going to do the masters. And I don't think I don't think really I need. You don't understand how the world works today, Dad. I got that. I got that shit. And I was like, yeah, I understand it way better than you. You realize I've traveled this entire planet. I understand human nature far more than you probably will in your entire life. You're going to do a
Right.
master's degree. And he's like, fine. And now he's thanking me for being demanding
Oh
because
yeah.
of course a lot more money
Mhm.
because
Oh yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the job he's got, he's going to he hasn't finished this year, but he's going to go through training and stuff, of course. But his job he's got, he's this guy who goes around and talks to laboratories and sets up their lab, right? He goes in, okay, you guys need all this kind of equipment and we're going to set it up, and the whole kit and caboodle, right? But he's
Mhm.
not the guy that does the installation. He's the guy who consults it. And if he had
Oh,
got that
okay.
bachelor's, he would have been the installer.
Mm.
Right, you see what I mean? The difference, and of
Yep.
course,
Yep.
he gets what, 20 grand, 30 grand more a year for that, right?
Right.
So yeah, but I mean, the problem with that is he's going to be bouncing between Fukuoka and Tokyo in that job. So once again, my kids will be nowhere near me, dude, and that includes
Mm.
grandchildren, right?
Yeah. You'll miss that first.
Maybe, maybe I will. I know
Oh,
my wife
when you
will.
get the grandkids, you're going to be all over
Yeah, that's sure. I have intentions of spoiling them and teaching them how to swear in English.
them. Perfect.
Yeah. Well, one of my greatest memories when I was a kid was my Uncle Bob. And my Uncle Bob would come over to, because we got huge families, right? So there'd be literally, they take out the folding tables, two or three of them, so the kids could sit at it, right? Separate from where
Mhm.
the adults were. And, he'd always come over to the kids' table and he says, all right, the first one of you that says shit gets $1. And he'd hold it up, right?
Jeez.
He'd get yelled at by the ladies and they chase him out of the room. It's great. I remember Uncle Bob very well. Many of my uncles I don't remember well.
Uh,
You know, who's your favorite uncle?
I've been my Uncle Harold is my mom's sister, brother. He was more like an older brother to me, and I mean,
Uh-huh.
he was always around when we were growing up. Yeah, before he got married, he'd be over the house for dinner and stuff, and he hung out and played with us, and always bought us the cool stuff at Christmas and
Oh yeah,
birthdays.
that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that
then
was
when we got older, he's the first one who took me paintballing. So we go paintballing all the time when, as an adult. And I introduced him to Axis and Allies, and we'd start playing that all the time. And he was the fun uncle, yeah.
yeah. Well, the funny thing about that is like you guys always want to remind me of who my cousin is, but
Mhm.
and she is my age, right? We're the same age, but she's my second cousin. Her dad is my actual cousin, right? And
Oh,
because they're actually from New York, those guys, and he even though he's quite a bit older than me, what, 20 years, right? 20 some years, he was always really cool to me. And and then I don't know what happened was, but I can't remember what happened exactly, but I stopped seeing him less and less. In the summertime I saw her more, right?
oh, okay, yeah.
Because I only saw her in the summers usually, or some family event, but I don't know what happened or what was going on. But in the summers she kind of get dropped off at grandma's house all the time, right?
Uh,
There were a bunch of kids get dumped off on grandma and grandpa, right? And we just kind of they spent the summers together. But
mhm.
her dad was actually a really nice guy. He was really nice to me.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I can't remember what they do. I think they have like a something to do with clothing in New York. But anyway,
Oh,
yeah. Elrod is trying to defile my family name again. Is JD moving to Japan or is your daughter moving to the Bojanglesville? Thank you, Elrod. Thank you. He's such a shit stirrer.
he
He's
is,
like a
but we love him.
professional. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Uh, I was laughing the other day because I think it was some space guy on the Discord. Elrod was triggering the hell out of him, dude.
Oh, I saw
I
that.
was like,
Yeah,
God, leave him alone, Elrod. What are you doing, man?
I was reading that. I was having a good old time reading all that.
That's all right. That's a good thing of age, though. You kind of learn the nature of people, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah. Anyway, I think I've delayed enough. I know Thundera will be coming in later, but I'm going to go get into some stories. You want to do that?
we can do that. But can I ask you a question first?
Sure.
Do you watch Moon Knight yet?
I did. I did.
Okay.
What did you think?
I'm not going to give you my opinion until I hear your opinion.
Oh, okay. I have tried to watch a few things recently. I wanted to catch up on some stuff. I watched Hellstrom, for instance. You know that comic book Son of Satan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that series? And it had some of the modern dumb woke crap in it, but it was all right. Did you watch that one?
I did not know.
Yeah, I like the old couple in it. The old couple in it was sweet, and that was genuine. That was really good acting, but anyway, because it's another comic book related thing I didn't know existed. I found it like last week. I was like, "Where?
Hmm.
This was made 2, 3 years ago. What the hell? I never heard of it." And it kind of comes into a little bit what I think we'll touch on some of the stories today. Disney has come out with this new side thing called Star, right? And it confused me because I don't have Disney Plus. But because I understood that Disney Plus comes with Hulu packed together. But I
Mhm.
don't have it. But my daughter occasionally gets it because she wants to watch something, and then she throws her mother like an access password, I guess, and
Okay. Yeah.
we'll watch it with that because we don't want Disney Plus. But I found it on there, and I was like, oh, so this star, not stars. You remember Bravo's stars, right? It's
Right. Right.
Star, and I'm like, okay, what is Disney doing here? But they put it on there because they didn't want to have such an adult themed thing on their Disney Plus, which I get. I understand that.
Mhm.
But it was pretty good. As far as Moon Knight goes, we saw that too. I was going to watch it anyway, but since we had that, we watched it. And my thinking on it is I have to wait and see. Um, I think Oscar was fine. I'm
Mhm.
not a huge fan of Oscar Isaacs, but
Right.
I
Right.
thought he was fine. I'm confused. I don't understand why Steve Grant is this pathetic ultra mega beta, which I get they're going to juxtapose it. I get it. But why is he that where in the comic book he's like the rich playboy guy? Is it
I
is it Yeah, go ahead.
think it's to separate him from Bruce Wayne and
Yeah,
Batman.
I thought so too.
That's what a lot of people are saying too. That's I kind of think that. I get it. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I got it too. I don't know how much I can take of that character, but I get it. I don't know what they're going to do with Jake Lockley. Is he even going to be in there? I don't know.
I'm not
But
sure. I don't. I know. Mr. Knight. The one in the suit will be in there
the newer one,
because I
right? But
see. Yeah, I've seen him in the previews. So I don't know if that's going to be Jake's character or what. I don't know how they're going to incorporate that.
yeah, but it's a little odd because the Mr. Knight character is a more recent one, and it's one
Mhm.
where Mark has come to terms with his problem, right?
Mhm.
Mr.
Right.
Knight represents the acceptance. So it's weird to kind of throw that in at the beginning, don't you think? Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. But for people that don't know, they don't know. So
that's true. That's a problem. We do know that's a problem.
yeah, that's what makes every comic book movie hard to watch when
That's
you
true.
know all the character
That's true.
ins and outs. Yeah.
But that said, like I said, I thought Oscar was fine. His accent, his English accent was pretty bad, but I thought he emoted well, so that's good.
Mm.
I don't know why every single person in there was mean and nasty except for the waiter, because everyone was mean. There wasn't a nice person. I mean, I know it's a trope where the women can't be nice anymore, but it wasn't just women; it was everybody was mean except
I
for the
know that
waiter.
that waiter was mean. That waiter was mean. He was going to bring him that steak. Well done.
Well, he no, fair enough. I caught that too. I did catch that. I was like, "Is that the choice? Isn't it usually medium?" But that was a bit off-putting. But then it seems to be the trope of these days. Then the other problems I had were basically because I'm an anthropologist. Amet, has no cult that ever followed Amet. That's not how Amet works. So that was weird for
She
me.
doesn't use the scales.
No, well, no, she is the one that
The
eats the
Anubis,
heart.
isn't it?
No, no. Well, Anubis is measuring it for Mott,
Yeah.
justice and stuff like that. But Amet, it just kind of sits there as this wild beast god that eats your heart if you fail, right? So
Mhm.
she's never had a cult ever. but um, but okay, that's just me being stupid and overthinking it. Um, the CG wasn't good, but I'm not gonna. I don't care about that. I mean, I think they should try to spend a little less money, be a little more conservative with their spending on these things. So I'm not really upset about that. But my overall is I have to wait and see because I didn't hate it, but I mean I just feel that there was some mistakes made. Like for instance, Tom Cruise. Hello, Thundara, by the way. Um, Tom Cruise.
I thought that was Chris Rock.
It is Chris Rock. He's an old friend of mine. He's decided to come in and talk about Will. That son of a bitch. Anyway, sorry. But Tom Cruise is a good example to the problem. Tom Cruise is one of the smallest dudes in Hollywood. I mean, he's not the who was the guy who was in Smoking the Bandit played Enos there or
Yeah.
what was his name?
His name's escaping me. I know who
He's
you're talking
a
about, though.
great
Yeah.
songwriter. But anyway, Tom is a really small guy. But
Yeah.
he never.
Oscar's 5'3", I think.
Yeah, no, he's about Tom Cruise size. Yeah. But the thing with Tom is he doesn't ever seem small. Now I know they put him in big shoes and they stand him on boxes and they do all kind of work on it, but it's also has to do with how Tom Cruise composes himself, right? He's
Mhm.
always confident, he's always male, he's always verbose, right? And therefore, he creates this mystique of ultramanness in a soft way, right? And it really you never think about how little Tom Cruise is. It just doesn't come in your head, even though you know it, right? With Oscar Isaacs, he can do that a little bit too. He's not completely inept at that. But the problem that they created in the Moon Knight was they had him as this ultra beta male, this
Mhm.
weak and mousy thing, and that's what they want you to feel. They want you to feel mousy about him, and I get it. But you go the whole time with that, and then all of a sudden he lets Mark take over, and then he becomes Moon Knight there for a very short bit at the end. Spoilers,
Right.
but they already sold me on how small he was. Moon Knight stood out as being so small because he is
Uh,
a short actor, and I'm like, they could have fixed that so easy. Just put another actor in the suit,
yeah.
right? They could have put like a stunt man, like a really good martial artist or some really badass in the suit. And I don't know why they didn't do that, but
You'll put
I,
Randy Orton in that suit.
oh my God, dude.
Oh,
Holy shit. That would be badass, man.
Yeah.
Imagine, like, but you know what I mean. So I don't know I have to see more, I guess, Eric. What did you think?
okay. I enjoyed it. I had a good time. I mean, there's a few things here and there, kind of go, that's okay. The Stephen Grant persona, yeah, but I kind of think they are trying to separate him from Moon or Batman as much as they can because
I
people
think so.
compare him all the time.
I think so.
The thing I didn't learn until probably this week was Khonshu. Khonshu isn't that's not the actual moon god's name. It's a Khonsu.
Well,
It
sure.
doesn't have the second H. Yeah, so I mean, I've
No, it
learned
is
my
it is
Egyptology from Marvel, and it's wrong.
it is Konsu. But I mean he has other names as well.
Yeah.
And but one thing with Marvel with the god Konsu, he's actually handled fairly well. I don't know why they have the bird head on him, but that's not that's from the comic. They're getting that out of the comic. I never understood the
Yes.
bird
Yeah.
head. That doesn't make sense. I suppose it's some kind of connection to Mott, but he's like a night protector and a healer. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that's anthropology stuff, and I thought it was fine. I thought the voice of Khonshu was weird.
That's the thing I dislike the most. I mean,
Yeah,
I say disliked. I didn't dislike it, but it just doesn't fit.
yeah,
That
nothing made
actor's
you
a fine
angry in
actor.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, he just doesn't have that. I want Khonshu to have like a voice, man, like a godly voice that
yeah,
resonates
yeah,
and is powerful. And his is just kind of like a,
comical.
a little bit like an old grandpa. That's what it
Yeah,
sounds like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. There was a couple moments that were all right, like the parasite moment. That was pretty good. But yeah, no, I just have to wait and see more. I don't hate it. I just think there were some things they could have done better, but I just need to see more with it. Yeah, what do you
Yeah,
think?
I'm
I
confused.
agree. I think
I'm confused why they've gone with a Layla instead of Marlene.
Yeah, no,
I don't know what
whatever.
that's about. It's good to see a couple Easter eggs in there, but yeah, I
Frenchie
enjoyed it.
was
I'll,
in
I'll
the
keep
phone
watching.
too. Did you see that?
Yes, yes, that was the
Yeah,
first thing I noticed. Like, ooh, I know that one.
that was cool. Hey, Tower, what's up, dude? You're muted.
thing I like the most about it
Oh,
is
hello, Chester. I just
hello,
saw
Tower.
y'all were in here, so I jumped in and just wanted to listen to it. I just
Oh,
wanted to listen in live.
oh, welcome, dude. Welcome.
Cool.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I'd say the thing I like the most about it is a complete cinematography nerd thing. I
Yeah,
really liked the blackout scenes where he just all of a sudden woke up and there was people beat all to hell or dead or whatever they were all around him, and he had no idea. And then like the chase with the in the big truck,
yeah, it was
and he
cool.
just keeps changing, and eventually he's going backwards. He has no idea. It's just shot really well. It's
Yeah,
an interesting way to do that, to do the old other personality taking over for a minute, and keep it kind of comical and light, but still
hmm
like, holy shit, look what he's doing to these people. Like, I really like that because, like you said, Moon Knight's supposed to be savage, right? He's brutal.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
not Batman. He doesn't pull his punches, and they showed that pretty well, but without showing it, which
right.
is one of the things they're going to have a problem with because they probably can't really show it without pissing people off or pissing off to keep it in Marvel's wheelhouse. Let's put it that way. And I think they may have found a good way around it, but eventually even that's going to wear off that trick.
Yeah,
So they're going to have to come up with something because they can't show him like beating somebody so bloody and just all covered in blood and stuff like in some of the comics.
right.
But they're going to have to do something because they can't not show the action forever.
Well,
We're going to
they
have to
Right,
see
right.
it.
they should have dropped it on Star. And then they would have been able to do that. But yeah, I get your point, and it depends on the thing with that. I did enjoy that, but it depends on how many episodes of that I get.
Yeah, true.
That's the point. I mean,
True.
Well, I'm hoping that ending where we actually see Mark, see him become Mark or whatever, Mark take over. Um, we get more. We're just going to get more and more Mark going
yeah,
forward. That's what I'm hoping because they kind of played this card, and I don't need it like a WandaVision thing where stuff just overstays its welcome. Um,
yeah,
you did this. You did it very well. Now we need to see more of Mark. We need to
oh
see
yeah,
more of actual Moon Knight. Uh,
Yeah.
I just don't think there's a lot of meat on that bone to keep going back to
no,
he has multiple personalities constantly flashing back and forth around him.
right, yeah, no, I agree. And another thing to distinguish him from Batman is the fact that they gave him the power. I mean, even the suit is magically created, and he's
Yeah,
definitely
Right. Yeah.
supernatural. I love that.
yeah, me too. I've always liked the idea of a supernatural Batman. I mean, I get why Bruce is who he is and why he works, but I think there's room for a supernatural version of him.
Well, they've done
Um,
that.
yeah, I've always liked it when it's done, especially because then you can make like the Joker more supernatural and things, and
Sure.
stuff just kind of makes more sense because we all get that Batman has a rule: he won't kill people, but it doesn't make any damn sense that he hasn't killed the Joker. Of all the people that should be dead by now, it's him.
Yeah, no, that's true. That is true. Roger asked a good question. I'm wondering now in future episodes how or if they were bringing Wolf by Night. I really hope they give us at least an Easter egg. I don't know what they're going to do. Obviously, the overarching story here is dealing with Harrow, Arthur Harrow, which they've changed him a bit, but I'm okay with that. With his cult of Emmet, which is weird. But yeah, the one of the problems I do have with a lot of stuff that Disney Plus is doing is everything is this big long story arc, and it's like
Yeah,
you can do anthology too.
right.
Mhm.
I kind of wish we'd
Well,
get a
and
little more anthology.
you can do a little anthology. You can also just have things completely to themselves, and then if the character's successful, well, then you can just bring them in later. You don't have to have it be this huge connected universe for everything, right? So, like Moon Knight's I think probably the best example. He could stand on his own as his own thing. I think. I don't think you necessarily need him pulled into with the Avengers and stuff.
No,
Or any
no,
of that stuff. I just don't think that makes sense. Now, I'm not saying you couldn't have a movie where he shows up with some of those guys occasionally, or they mention him, or maybe they even have to fight him for some reason. But I don't think you need to force that narrative.
right.
And I think if they're going to use these more less known heroes who have some of them have much darker storylines like Moon Knight, um, I don't think you necessarily want to bring them into the MCU proper. I just don't think it works. Like would Daredevil really work with the
No,
Avengers? I
no,
don't
no.
I
Keep it
don't think
away.
so.
No, and it looks
Yeah,
almost like they're doing kind of a pseudo Marvel Knights anyway.
yeah.
But what I'm really waiting for is, will we get Daredevil episode 3? That's what I want. Give me Daredevil episode 3, please.
Could happen.
I mean, because that was one of the most epic episodes of superhero ever put down, dude. That was so
Mm.
badass. Did you see that one, Eric?
Episode 3. What do you mean?
It's the third episode where he goes and he just tears an entire hallway apart.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was really epic. It's kind of it was longer, but it's kind of like at the end of Rogue One where you get Darth Vader show up in that most epic scene, right?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
so I really hope Moon Knight has one of those moments, but I have to
He
wait and
already
see.
had it. We just didn't see it.
Yeah, it was just off screen.
That's right. That's right. But I get what they're doing. I'm very happy to wait and see. You know,
Right.
it's not like some other stuff where I noped out very quickly, right? But because I'm going to wait and see. I hope it's good because you guys
He's
know I love Moon
not
Knight, man.
terrible,
No, no,
right?
it's not
It's
terrible.
not terrible, which
No,
is what I was afraid of. Oscar Isaac's literally that's the best performance I've ever seen him give in
I
his
think
whole
so.
career.
Yeah,
And especially when he's Mark, believed it. I believed he was a totally different person, totally different identity.
yeah,
Like he
that's true.
he pulls that off well. It's the British accent is a little.
It's bad.
It's too
It's
it's
bad.
too thick. Like
It's too
you can
much.
tell he's laying on British accent.
And
You know
it's
what I
very
mean? Like you can tell that.
effeminate and stuff like
Yeah.
that. At least they
We
didn't
need
make
Rabbit to tell us what he thought of the accent.
well, no, well, we all know it's way over the top. But of course, he wants to distinguish it from Mark Spector, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And of course,
Right.
Mark, if you listen to Mark, he has a New Yorker accent, right?
Right.
All righty, fine. I
Much
didn't
more
have a
gruff.
problem with that. And he's super effeminate in beta, but they didn't make him gay though. He does like the
Yeah.
girls, so that's cool.
Does
I
seem to
thought they were
like
going to go
women.
radical with it.
No, I didn't see anything. Any of the message
No,
was in that I saw.
no, I thought
I
it was
did
fine.
like Harrow. I think Ethan did an unbelievable job.
Yeah, no, yeah.
He was so menacing, but without doing anything that menacing, and that is really hard to pull off, and he did it.
Well, he said he was trying to embody David Koresh.
Yeah, I think he may have pulled it off. To be
He might
honest.
have pulled it off. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. What did you think, Ben? Did you watch Moon Knight? You must have watched it.
Yeah, I watched it. And did you guys notice that it was because of Moon Knight you had to activate the mature settings on Disney Plus?
Yes, I did notice
I
that.
didn't notice that, but I'm happy.
Interesting.
It should be mature. They don't need any sex stuff in
it's-
there, but yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like I know you guys are worried about like them not honoring the violence, but it was
Right.
because of Moon Knight and the Netflix series, the Defender series that have come onto Disney that they've activated a mature filter, right? So you have to like activate seeing mature content to see Moon Knight and that stuff. So that's what gives me hope that they're going to be going a little darker and a little harder with these series than they would in their other ones, right? Because that a setting has never been activated on Disney Plus until Moon Knight came to Disney.
Dude, imagine a Moon Knight Mark Spector scene like the one in Daredevil. Dude, imagine that. Bones popping, blood spurt. Oh God, God. Yeah, I
Jeff is
want
very
it.
excited.
Well, dude, you know I
I
love
mean,
Moon
I
Knight, dude.
wonder if they're going to go as hard as are they going to go as hard as they went with like the Punisher series?
Oh
Because the
God,
Punisher series on
please.
Netflix went pretty hard,
Oh, they especially
you know.
season one.
So
Season
that's
two sucked balls, but season one was awesome.
season one was good. I don't know what they thought they were doing with season two. It
No.
was not nearly as good, but the Punisher in season two of Daredevil and then season one Punisher, that's just pure brilliance.
Yeah, yeah,
I enjoyed every minute of all of that.
yeah. I
I think I
agree.
need to give the Daredevil show another shot. When I watched it the first time, I didn't like it, and I didn't understand why everybody loved it so much. I have no idea why. I couldn't tell you why now. So I might give it another try and check it out and see if maybe
Because
my opinions change.
it's pure and brutal.
Well, no, I love Pure and Brutal. I mean, for
Yeah.
Christ's sake, Wolverine's
I
my
thought
favorite.
the Daredevil it was the only show that had, I think, consistent quality.
Yeah,
Right?
that's true.
I think with all the other ones like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, oh god, and especially Iron Fist, like in and Punisher, like we talked about, Punisher season one was great, season two wasn't great. I think all three seasons of Daredevil are consistently good
Yeah.
and have a consistent quality throughout all of the episodes. And again, some of my favorite dialogue from the comics to end up on the screen especially happened in Daredevil season two, where we got to see the interaction between him and Frank, and they talked about their philosophy.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember seeing that in the comics, and it just
Sure.
played out perfectly on the screen.
It did. No, it was really cool. And then all I have to say is D'Onofrio. I mean, my God, dude. Talk about instantly embodying something.
He's a pretty good Kingpin.
I was really thrown off by his performance at first, like with the voice and the tenor that he was doing. But then as it went on, I got it. I saw what he was doing, and I loved every moment of it.
Yeah,
He
dude.
really made the character iconic and distinctive and stand out in a way that I don't think other people would have been able to do or thought of with
Yeah.
that character.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, at first I was like, "Ooh, what is this?" And then as I saw it more and more, I was like, "Okay, I get it, and I love
Yeah,
it."
yeah. D'Onofrio killed it. So yeah, and I agree. Consistency, it had some really good acting in it. But hopefully, Moon Knight got my fingers crossed. I hope it'll be fine. Like I said, it didn't turn me off episode one. So cool.
Yeah,
I'm
that's a good
just
thing.
waiting. Yeah. I think so. Just waiting. That Ben, did you or Thunder or Tower even? Did you guys see the Hellstrom series?
No,
Satan's Son of Satan series.
No,
I
that hasn't hit my radar.
Yeah, I personally I don't have a lot of time to watch a lot of shows.
Right. No, I get it. You're young. That's why. You're busy living, chasing
Yeah.
tail and stuff. It's always important.
No. 12-hour days at work, 60 hours a week, whether I like it or not.
That's for old married men. What are you doing?
I'm making bank and buying motorcycles.
Oh, fair enough. I am
that's fair.
I
That's a
am a
good.
motorcycle
Good use.
aficionado as well.
I personally have a Kawasaki Ninja 400 KRT 2020 that I bought off the showroom floor in high school.
Ooh.
And last October, I bought a 2014 Honda CRF 250L, which I then proceeded to wreck 2 months later and just finished rebuilding.
Oh, nice. I have a CB 750 fully restored.
Oh, those are
Wow.
nice.
They are, dude. I do love it.
This is why I
And
don't ride motorcycles because I would definitely wreck one, and I just don't want to. That
well,
doesn't sound fun at all.
I'm a cruiser. I'm not a street rocker, race rocket guy, but I do love my motorcycle. But I love cars in general as well. Automotive, vehicle stuff I like. Anyway, cool, great conversations. But we do need to get into the actual show. So let's do that.
Actual
Alrighty.
A
show.
lot of the show revolves around science fiction, correct, Chester?
What do you say?
This show revolves around science fiction, movies, stuff like that. Just
Yep, entertainment.
um,
That's right.
yep.
Yep.
Can I There's one thing that I have watched a little bit of that I'm actually quite disappointed in
Mhm.
for as a gamer personally. The new Halo TV show.
Yes, I'm not going to talk about that yet. I'm going to let it soak for a little bit, and I'll probably pick it up in
Yeah.
2 to 4 weeks, I think, because that is an absolute trash fire so far. But
My
we'll
my
see.
biggest issues with it, and this is just two really small points, is you have weapons that make, the video game noises. Why would you change that in a show that's mimicking a video game?
Right.
You think you would have kept the classic noises. And my other thing is that they made characters something they're not. There's
Yep.
no reason Halsey should be a middle-aged woman when in lore she's an elderly lady who made the Spartans what they were, like almost a mother type figure. So why would you
Sure.
make her a hot woman in her 20s as an idea, to attract more audience? But
Well, I don't know that she's hot or in her 20s, but I get your point. But yeah, no. We talked about it a little bit.
it's not a granny,
No,
I
it's
should
not.
say.
You're right. You're right. But we did talk a little bit about it. The fact that the biggest thing to answer your question that we know so far is the director team, the creative team for the project. Not only did they not reference anything from the Halo games, they intentionally did so. Yeah. Yeah, they were like, we don't want to be bogged down by the lore or anything to do with Halo.
or the audience, or the
That
Yeah.
money.
that's amazing.
Yeah, and especially
It's like
seeing as they're
making a
dropping
car
it's
movie
$10
and
million
mentioning
an
about
episode
sorry.
as well. So
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy. But
pretty
I'm
rough.
going to let that stew a bit because I want to see where that goes, right? Because that,
Indeed.
one of the things we talked about with that is the fact that Paramount does not have that money to spend. And are we seeing the actual death of Paramount is what I'm curious about. But I'm going to wait on that. I'm going to let it stew and see what comes out of it. Anyway, Thundero.
Disney Plus removes in memoriam tributes to Stan Lee and Red E. Cathay. I think is how you say that. Reg E. Cathay from the
Yeah,
Punisher and Luke Cage finales.
uh,
Reg? How you say his name?
Reg, yeah,
Reg?
Reg was the guy to play Luke's dad, right?
Ah, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
and he's a good actor. I've always enjoyed him. Now I'm kind of curious about this, and I want to hear what you guys have to say about it because we know anytime Disney does something, we kind of knee jerk react because Disney has kind of lost their brain recently, and we know that. However, I'm kind of curious what this might be. Now, when they transferred everything over to Stars, this is where we were talking about Daredevil, Punisher, Luke Cage, stuff like that. They moved it all over to Star, I guess, because it is a little bit more adult rather than, oh, I don't know. Did they put it on Disney or Star? I don't know. They moved it all over, and that's fine. But they did take out some, in loving memory to Stan Lee after he died, and as well as to Mr. Cathay. And okay, why? Initial reaction would be, damn Disney, but was this just some weird snafu? But then again, it had to be removed, intentionally removed. But why would they? I don't get this story, and I need help. Help me.
Um, I'm gonna just default to Disney is run by evil psychopaths, and that's the best answer I got for you.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make any sense. Why? What does it matter if that's in there or not?
Well,
Like,
we
I'm not
I
necessarily upset that they removed it. It's just why remove
It's
it?
weird. I mean, I get they hate Stan Lee for some reason, but Mr. Cathay, I mean, he's a black dude, isn't he supposed to get a pass no matter what? I don't really get it. I just it's not something that can accidentally happen. It was intentionally done, but I just don't know the point of it.
I feel like when it comes down to it, Stan Lee was in all means just a very practical man, lived by his values, and his values don't go with they go against the new people in charge. So
Sure.
if you're running a multi-billion-dollar company, I mean he's no longer around, so they look at it as he's no longer in the way. So why not wash him out like all the other creators they've had in the past who
Sure,
didn't
sure.
follow their beliefs?
But that's the knee-jerk reaction, and it could be the truth. But it feels like it's something odd. It's an odd choice to even bother with it. Just leave it be. Why would you intentionally go in and take these things out? I don't get it, especially because like they took it out of Punisher, they took it out of Luke Cage, but if you go to Jessica Jones, which was running at the same time, it's still in there. the Stan Lee, in loving memory of Stan Lee. So, anybody else have
So
any theories on it?
yeah, I have some theories. Like trying to wipe away Stan Lee from Marvel. I mean, that's just an asinine like thing because like that's impossible, right? Like everyone knows that Marvel is Stan Lee. You know, he's embedded in all the movies and the cameos and stuff like that.
Right.
So of course that's not going to be the case. From what I read about it, the more likely scenario is it has something to do with the Netflix contracts, right? Because remember, these were licensed from Marvel and Disney, but they were produced on Netflix. And so there's like some combination between it, and it's likely to do with the rights transferring from Netflix to Disney. They're all on Disney Plus, right? So they are now streaming on Disney Plus and not
It is
Netflix.
Disney. Okay.
And so those tributes, yeah, so those tributes probably have to do something with the new contracts on Disney Plus as opposed to Netflix.
Maybe because it doesn't make sense to even bother to do it unless you were
So you're
forced to.
telling me what Ben's telling me, what I'm hearing, what my brain's hearing, is the evil overlords at Disney aren't the bad guys this time. It's the evil lawyers. Gotcha.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I mean,
in
yeah,
this case, that might
that's
be true,
essentially true.
Thundero.
Oh, sounds like because it's just such a weird thing. Like, would anybody really care if it was left in there, except weird law that makes them have to change certain things based on contractual obligations? Nobody in the real world would really care one way or the other. I mean, some people might prefer it stay, but I don't think anybody's going to lose their mind over it. Well, I say that, but most rational people aren't going to lose their mind over it. Yet lawyers, because they live in this weird legalistic frame of mind all the time, thanks to the way the law is, they have to care about tiny little trifling details like that. And it's just such a strange way to live, I think. Like, could you imagine you're making this deal with Netflix, two massive, huge corporations with more money than most countries have ever had. They're just ridiculously wealthy and powerful. And the one thing that catches everybody up is a random memorial that, if it wasn't there, nobody would have even cared at the end of two different shows. And that just
Yeah,
catches up the whole thing, so
but
you have to take it
yet,
out in order to do it.
but yet the Jessica Jones one is still there. It's
But that one's
weird
fine for
because
some reason. Yeah,
yeah,
that one's fine.
and the thing
I
was
mean,
if you,
that I think that proves the point because they were probably on different contracts or had different,
Yep.
legalese within the contracts,
it's
right?
so
So,
stupid, dude.
I mean, you're right, but like these are done in such a way to protect. So, like a good example would be for like Batman, right? It is legally required that in any Batman production you have to do, Batman created by Bob Kane and such, right? And that if you,
Finger,
and that's
yeah.
because as the original, yeah, yeah. And if you don't, like, you get in trouble. I forget what it was, but I remember there was some prediction that forgot to put the other dude on. They just put Bob Kane, and they got sued, and they lost because that's part of the contractual obligation, right? And
Sure.
so I get what you're saying, but like that's saying like any profession seems like foreign and weird. Like we don't know what it's like to be like an oil rigger out in the middle of the ocean. Like that's a completely foreign life to us, and it's a
Yeah.
hard life and stuff like that. So I know what you're saying, but like you could say that of practically any life. It's all microcosms to us.
Yeah. No, I figured it was something weird like that because it doesn't really make sense. Although it is unfortunate because I remember that scene when they did the in loving memory for Mr. Cathay, and it came right after his little speech to his son, and it was neat. And I want to read that speech because I thought it was a nice little bit of hero building. And Luke's dad is talking to him. And he says, "Your strength is from God, Carl. I have no doubt in my mind about that. But with that kind of power comes its share of pain. Science, magic, God. That power flows from within, from inside. What comes out when that pressure is heaviest? That's the real magic. That's what defines being a man. That's what defines being a hero." That was a great little line. I loved it because his dad's a preacher, right? So I thought that was really cool. And then it came
Yeah,
up with
Luke.
the in loving memory to him. It was sweet, man. I liked it.
Luke Cage, a third of a really good show, or
Yeah,
2/3 of a really good show.
yeah.
It really
Killing
had
off
potential,
Cottonmouth was a
but
terrible
they
idea.
squandered potential.
Oh yeah, they
Ah,
should have never got rid of Cotton. He was so badass. He was
he
so
was.
badass, dude. But
But he's
anyway,
gonna be Blade now, so
yeah,
I'm
that's
pretty
true,
excited.
and I'm looking forward to it because I like the actor. He's got freaking presence, dude.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm gonna move on. I just thought this was a weird one, so I talked about it. And this right here is very important. This is important to life.
Jeff Bridges shares update on lymphoma diagnosis, announces he's feeling, quote, terrific after his cancer went into remission last year. Wasn't it in stage 4?
Yeah, I thought we were going to lose
Whoa!
him, but
Wow.
looks like he's doing well. And I have to say, this is
Good.
a miracle.
Good.
We need more Jeff
Good.
Bridges.
We do. We always do. At all times.
No,
Need more Jeff Bridges.
well,
Put him in everything.
he's one of those actors you don't doesn't pop to your head. The top of your head is the best awesome guy, actor of all time. But damn it if he's not though. I mean, for
Yeah.
instance, let's go around the
Totally agree.
board here, and you tell me what your favorite Jeff Bridges character is, Eric.
Lebowski.
Yeah, and the dude. How about you, Ben?
I honestly loved him in Tron 2 as sort of like
Oh
the
yeah,
elder, computer guy, the philosophy of it. And so I know like not a lot of people like Tron 2, but I actually really enjoyed Tron 2, and part of it was sort of the contemplative Zen nature of Jeff Bridges in that.
yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool. What about you, Thundero?
I have to go with a movie that will probably surprise you, but I have to go with The Giver. I think it's great. I think he's great in that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he is. He's good in everything, really. I mean, even in that absolute trash fire that was Kingsman 2. I mean, he was cool in it. What do you think, Tower?
He took mine. I was also going to say The Giver. That's just a story I really enjoyed, and I felt like he played the part real well.
Yeah, no, he did. My favorite actually is a guilty pleasure of mine. That's R.I.P.D. He's freaking
Ooh.
awesome in that movie. He is so epically awesome. I understand there's a lot of stuff that's not
Talk
good.
about trash fires.
Yes, but he was cool as shit, dude. I loved his character. But I thought we'd take a moment, seeing as we still have Jeff Bridges with us, and hopefully we'll get some new movies out of him. You never know, but I'd love to see him. I thought we'd look at his IMDb page and see, what has the dude done? Because he is epic. Let's go
Well, he's
take a
been
look
the
at
dude.
what.
He has been the dude.
He has. He is the dude. But I just thought we'd take a look at it here because he's going back quite a way. It's pretty way
Wow.
back. 1951. He's an infant
An
at a train
infant. He's
station.
literally been in the business his whole life.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Of course, Sea Hunt, which I absolutely adored when I was a kid watching in syndication. I love Sea Hunt. Eric here must be able to identify with me on that.
No, I never saw it. I don't think it was
Oh
on
God, I
syndication
love.
here when I was a kid.
Oh, I love Sea Hunt when I was a kid. It was so cool, dude. And then they came out with Sea Quest later with the what was that guy's name? Roy Steiner?
Schreider.
Schreider. Yeah.
Yep.
Schroeder?
Something. Roy. Yeah.
Yeah, from Jaws.
Yeah, the guy from
You,
Jaws.
you
And
know
he
a
was
great
awesome.
movie that's a blast from the past from his is Starman.
Oh
Holy
yeah,
crap! When was the
no,
last time you watched Starman?
that is true. Let's go through it here. Lloyd Bridges show, I don't remember. The Loner, I don't know. FBI series, I did watch some of that, but he only plays one. Lassie, oh my God, Lassie. Eric,
No, I did watch Lassie, yes.
we watched a lot of Lassie. I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
we all did.
Lassie and Rin Tin Tin.
Mm-hmm. Rin Tin Tin was cooler.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see here. The Yin and Yang and Mr. Go. I don't know these things. He's playing bit parts here. Let's see if we can find the first thing he really hit. Fat City, Bad Company. No, Last American Hero. Okay, that was fun. The Iceman Cometh. Yeah. Thunderbolt and Lightning. There it is. Okay, he played Lightfoot, and this is probably what kind of got him known. I would imagine.
Yeah.
Have you guys
I'd say
seen?
so.
Yeah, I'd say so. But let's see here. King Kong, of course. That was the 85 oh no, this is 76 one. Oh, interesting.
That
Heaven's
had
Gate.
Jessica Lange in it.
Yeah, that's I was thinking of the 85 one. But yeah, they keep remaking King Kong. We got more coming. We got Son of King Kong coming next. Let's see here. Tron, of course, he played Flynn. This was, that was an amazing movie. He was already known by that time, though. The Last Unicorn. Oh my God, another great movie. Let's see, Starman. There you go.
Starman, yep.
Yeah, right there. 8 Million Ways to Die. Magic World of Disney. Oh, that's nice. He's done so
Tucker. I
much.
forgot about Tucker.
Yeah, Tucker, the man in his dream. Yeah. It's a car movie. If you guys haven't seen it, the Tucker cars were pretty cool. You actually, I suggest you go watch this. This is a docudrama before we use the word docudrama, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, go check. Actually, Tucker the Man in His Dream is pretty cool. The Fabulous Baker Boys. Oh my God, dude. The Fisher King. Yes, another great movie. The Vanishing, which I liked. White Squall. That was
Oh,
okay. He played Skipper on that. Yeah.
Vanishing had Sandra Bullock and Kiefer Sutherland, right?
I do believe so. Yeah. It was a.
She
It
went
is.
missing. Oh, it was creepy.
Yeah, it was good, dude. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
the Big Lebowski, of course.
Of course.
Yes. The Muse, K-Pax. That wasn't very good. But K-Pax had what's his name? What's the Kevin? What's the creep that likes young boys there? But he's a
Kevin
frick
Spacey.
Kevin Spacey. Yeah. I think he's in that.
Everyone in
Seabiscuit.
Hollywood.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
fair enough. But Kevin Spacey's badass, though. I mean, you don't want to give him a pass, but damn. Thailand, Surfs Up, and seeing Iron Man, of course, he played Obadiah Stane. He was great as
Mm-hmm.
that dude. He did a great Stane. It was
He
what
did.
for us comic guys, it was a bit weird, but it was pretty good. Crazy Heart, of
He
course.
was
True Grit.
absolutely awesome as Obadiah Stane.
You didn't like it?
No, I said he was awesome
He
as
was.
Obadiah
I thought
Stane.
he did a great job.
And
Dude,
Crazy Heart's great too. Yeah.
but yeah, absolutely. But True Heart, I mean, it's gonna be True Grit, the
Oh yeah.
remake as Cogburn. Oh my God, dude! You realize that the original is one of John Wayne's best performances in his entire career, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably his best performance,
Yeah,
actually.
and,
I
and
would say.
I prefer the Bridges version, dude.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh, dude, my
Oh, it's
God, go watch
amazing.
that. It's
Yeah.
freaking
Largely
awesome, dude.
because
It's good. It goes against the grain of like remakes because most remakes are kind of trash.
yeah,
And when they first proposed that, I was like, why? Like this is such a classic. It's
Yeah,
you've got no place to go but failure, but they really knocked it out of the park. That was really something special. And it's
yeah,
really sets the bar of like what a remake should be.
I agree.
I'll check it out. No,
If
it
you
was
haven't
kind of
seen that, go watch that. Yeah.
that same reasoning there. I was like, you're not going to do this right. There's no way. There's no way. There's no. First of all, you're not going to replace John Wayne because you can't. And second of all,
You can.
I just trust you with remakes,
No,
Hollywood.
you
Don't trust
can.
you one bit.
That movie, Jeff Bridges, True Grit is really, really, really good, dude. Yeah, you have to watch that. Of course, R.I.P.D. I absolutely adore him as Roy. He's freaking hilarious, dude. It's freaking awesome. I mean, and you got Ryan Reynolds next to him because Ryan Reynolds is hit and miss, right? He's always Ryan Reynolds. He doesn't have a second gear. He doesn't know how to do any. A lot of actors only have one thing. They're what they are. And Reynolds is certainly like that. And sometimes it's cool, and sometimes it's annoying. Right? Depends on the movie, right? In this one, his annoyingness works off of Bridges' Roy well. And I don't know why everyone hates that movie so much because it is a fun little popcorn flick, but frickin' Jeff Bridges kicks ass. The Giver, of course, very nice. Seventh Son, which is another movie that didn't do well, but I liked it, dude. Did you guys see The Seventh Son?
I think I have, but I'm having trouble remembering it. Sounds very familiar.
It has some problems. It most certainly has problems, but once again, he's cool. Let's see, The Kingsman. Yeah, like I said, it's the only thing good in that movie because my God, can someone please get rid of that weird guy they keep throwing in shit? What's his name there? The beefcake. He's in Jupiter's Legacy too. What's his name?
Oh, Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum.
Well, Hollywood basically got rid of him for a long time. He's kind of had a little bit of a resurgence lately, but
Yeah. Let's see, and he's got some series coming up, The Old Man, but which is good, more Bridges.
he
But
also did another thing. He did a Jeff Bridges did before ASMR kind of took over YouTube.
uh-huh.
He did like he called them the sleep tapes, and it was basically ASMR, but not calling it that to help you sleep. And it was just him like reading poems or saying things over and over again in his dulcet tones that he has, and
I love
it
that.
was pretty
It
good.
was
He
such
gave
a
it out for
good
free.
thing too. Yeah,
It was completely free.
Well, it's interesting you mention that because Dave's mentioning back with Reading Rainbow back in 2008 at least, he did narration for a story, and I can imagine that must have been good. He's got a great voice.
He
Um,
does have
but
a great
um,
voice.
he does. But Bad Times at the El Royale, I haven't seen that yet. I've heard good things though. But I mean, this is a guy who should be celebrated more. People don't talk about Jeff Bridges enough. They just don't. Because he's a really, really memorable actor. And I know everyone talks about, depending on the age, they either talk about Starman or they talk about The Big Lebowski. And those are good movies. He's great in them. But he's so much more. There's so much more. And Go watch some more Jeff Bridges movies because we don't know how long we're going to have the dude, you know?
Well, he seemingly, at least for now, has beaten the lymphoma. For now, because it'll probably come back. But
Mhm.
I really hope we get something epic with him for the next year or two.
Yeah,
He's
I hope so.
he's the
Yeah.
type of actor who he plays to what he's given. So if you give him a crappy role, it'll probably be a crappy movie. But if you
Yeah.
give him something awesome, he'll make it awesome.
Yeah. He will.
And
He's much better than Alec Baldwin.
yes, yeah.
Although
So
He's
I
he
would
not
might.
going to
love to
shoot
see
you.
him play like an old wizard, something like that. He's kind of already done it in Tron Legacy to a kind of in a way, but he could really play something cool with something like that, an old wizard like character, like an old Obi-Wan style
Yeah.
character.
We kind of
And I
played
think
that
you
in The
could,
Seventh Son a little bit.
yeah, you could really do something cool with the right franchise with him, and have him just be kind of the heart of it in a way.
Sure. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and I hope to see more of Jeff Bridges because I do love Jeff Bridges. I
Yeah.
think he's very underrated.
Although I will give Alec Baldwin credit for Glengarry because that was pretty good. But he played Dick though. He does that well. Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty
But
good at it.
he is pretty good. Actually, the
Lots of
only
practice.
yeah, I guess so. The real big problem with The Seventh Son was actually Susan Sarandon. She was the
Yep.
problem with that movie.
Yeah.
But oh well, casting is difficult. But anyway, I'm glad you're healthy, Mr. Bridges. I hope you stay that way for a while. And awesome, dude. I love you, man. All right, let's move on here.
Oh boy, there's a name. Funimation voice actress Colleen Clinkenbeard.
Hmm.
Clinkenbeard.
Hmm.
What
It's
the
good,
hell?
good
Wants to
dwarven
see
name.
change. Wants to see change in quote the treatment of female characters in anime end quote. Claims they quote tend to end up in the background end quote.
Okay.
Uh, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. I understand even if you're going way, way back in America, you can maybe say this is kind of true, although I don't know. He-Man's pretty old and there were a lot of really important female characters in it. But we're talking about animation here. And this lady is a voice actress. Cool. Maybe she's really good at it. I don't know. Hopefully she is. But her ideas in this are really, well, stupid. I mean, she just goes on and on and on and on about how women don't get enough respect in anime, as far as characters and stuff. And I'm like, have you ever watched anime?
No,
I'm just
I'll
curious.
give her. I'll give her this one point. Women do get sexualized very heavily in a lot of animes, especially
Some.
like shonens or whatever.
Well, shonen is for
But
boys particularly. But
one and two, I don't understand why that's a problem. Women are sexual and sensual creatures. They're very sexy. Everybody
yeah,
agrees. I don't think there's
true.
anybody who disagrees with this statement.
But
So why
but
is that a problem?
I understand what you're saying, but you mentioning shonen, I think is a good point. Here, with the anime, or we should start with manga because that's where it's coming from. With manga
Yep,
in Japan, they have manga for everybody,
that's
everybody.
right.
And keep in mind, the actual majority of anime animators are female.
That's right.
They're not male, right? And the readerdom of comic books here in Japan are fairly equal 50-50. Matter of fact, I say it's probably kind of leaning more female these days, particularly with anime. Most anime is female leaning these days
Yep, yep,
because they're the consumers of it. Now, shonen is specifically for boys. It is made
that's right.
for boys, but they have all kinds of manga here made for like everybody. I said, and it's very popular. And anime has definitely leaned more female. But even if you go all the way back to say the 70s, you had this show in America. It was called Battle of the Planets. Of course, in Japan it was called Gatchaman. June wasn't important. Was she sidelined? Was she a damsel in distress? Because that's what she's complaining about in this article. And it's like, no, she was an essential member of the team that saved their ass on many occasions. How about Yamato or or Star Blazers? There was plenty of female characters in there, very important ones, and they weren't no damsels. They were actually saving the world, one of them, right? But if you watch anime or read manga, this is the most stupid thing you've ever heard because
Yep.
anime is full of important female characters, and a lot of them are the lead center character. They're way more important than the male characters. Now, sure, in something like say Bleach or things like that, you do get a female character is a bit sexualized. But think about the character that's sexualized in Bleach, for instance. She has big boobies. She loves to show them. She loves to fuck. I mean, it's implied, but that's what she likes. But she's also an absolutely devastating warrior,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So I
Giku.
I don't get what you're going on, Miss Dwarf Lady, because
Well, especially considering, and I can say from personal experience, my wife loves anime, but she doesn't necessarily love the type of anime I like. But there are tons and tons, and more than she could ever watch
Sure.
of basically soap opera anime. That's basically
Yeah.
what it's a soap opera, but it's an anime.
Yeah.
The
Like,
girls in those aren't pushed to the back or whatever she's
No.
complaining about.
no,
They're
not at all.
about them usually.
Past
They're the
couple of
main character.
decades, like I said, things have been leaning much more female.
Yeah.
That's because they're the consumers of it. They're consuming.
So
more
this
and
is
more of it.
here's my problem with these sorts of complaints. Let me lay it out real quick. Is you're being dishonest because you're not actually saying what you're complaining about. What you really want is you want the things that the boys are watching to have girl leads and have them watch the girls.
Yeah, which is the
Because
same
for whatever reason, maybe you like that stuff more than you do the girly stuff, whatever, that's fine. But when you come into a situation like that and you expect or demand changes to fit what you want, all you do is alienate the people who are already there. Because the reason they're there, most likely, is it's the way that they want it to be.
Sure.
They like it.
Yeah.
So
And
why, if you come in and you demand changes, you're going to change it from probably even the thing that you want, to be honest, if you think about it for a second, to something else that you may not want to watch.
It's a weird complaint, but she's serious about her complaint, I'll tell you. So Eric, what do you think about Miss Clinkenbeard here? That's such a great dwarven name.
Yeah, it's like a lot of other things. I mean, people complain that there's never been representation and stuff, and there's always been representation.
Oh,
Yeah, like
sure.
you said, Battle of the Planets. Good grief! I mean, there's heroes, and even Trixie from Speed Racer. Come on.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And,
No,
and Speed would even try to talk down to her, and she just show him up.
oh yeah, it's weird, particularly when you're talking anime. That's just not true. I mean, there are some
Yeah.
examples, I guess, but then again, you remember Thunder the Barbarian? Remember
Yep.
what was her name? Well, you had Ukla and you had the lady
Ariel?
Ariel, something like that. And
Yeah.
was she there for eye candy? Was she a damsel in distress? Was she, no. She saved
Because
their ass how many
Thunder
times?
was kind of a bumbling idiot.
A little bit, and he kind of needed her
Yeah.
intelligence because she was the smart one. I'm just saying it doesn't make sense. Like the last unicorn I mentioned a minute ago, where Bridges does the voice of the prince in that. The main character is a female. She's the hero. She saves the whole thing, and that's a absolutely gorgeous movie if you haven't seen it. How about The Secret of Nim? They talk about
Yep.
American stuff. Secret of Nim,
Mrs.
the main
Brisby.
character, Mrs. Brisby. Yeah. I mean, an amazing anime if you haven't watched it. But Ben, what do you think about this kind of clinking beardedness?
I think she kind of has a point. You guys are mentioning lots of like isolated examples, and you're not necessarily wrong.
Lots of them. Lots of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isolated examples.
Give me
However,
one that's not, though. Give me one that's not.
Off the top of my head,
A main female character that's a damsel in distress and needs the men.
No. Hold on. So that's the core problem. No. Let's go back to what you just said. All the examples you're having, except for like maybe Secret of Nim, they're not the core character. They're side characters, right? And I think her complaint is if she'd like to see more where it's the primary character, right? So Speed Racer, like the example, the main character is Speed Racer, right? The Thundero, like he's the main character, right? So like, I get what she's saying, right? It's not necessarily a matter of representation per se, but it's just a matter of saying like, hey, girls watch this stuff too. It'd be kind of cool to have some main female characters. Not to say there can't be male characters, right? But a lot of your examples are the female characters are the side characters. They're not the main
Dude,
characters. They're not the
you
hero. They're not
lived in
going on the
Japan.
journey.
You know right well there are more female-led anime than there are male. You know this.
How? Oh, hold on. But the example, yes, but those are not the
What do you mean,
large ones
yes,
that are getting
but?
translated and shipped in. No. Those aren't getting shipped internationally. Those aren't the
Oh,
ones that
fair.
the American audiences are watching,
They are
right?
now.
And that's what she's coming from the position of somebody who is, does the dubbing. So that's what she's talking about,
So
right?
she
It's a
doesn't know
word.
what she's talking about then. She hasn't done her research. She's full of shit. Thank you. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate your acceptance.
No, don't put words in my mouth. You know what I'm talking
I
about,
do. Yeah,
right? That of all of the genres that they have for Japan, they do only ship over a very small portion of one specific genre,
they do.
right?
Shonen stuff.
It's like all, yeah. It's
The
like how many
Japanese don't think
isekais do
that
we
way.
have?
She's blaming Japan too in this article, by the way. She's yelling at Japan, and it's stupid because there are
Right. Okay.
literally
That's
more
a position
female.
that's right. That's a position of ignorance that I can get behind, right? But like you know what she's talking about, though. You know the implication of it, right? And there's an air of truth to it, right? We get how many isekais like shipped over versus like the other genres that you're talking about. They exist, you're right, but they don't ship them over internationally.
What is the
Well, there's
biggest Japanese
probably a reason
anime
for it.
hit of all time? What is the biggest one?
Oh god, this is going to be a contentious conversation. So like,
Sento
what do you
Chihiro.
what do you?
Sento Chihiro. Biggest one of all time. Biggest one. It's bigger than Akira. It's
Biggest
bigger than
one?
Ghost in
Which
the Shell.
one?
How about Ghost in the Shell? Talk about stuff that's shipped overseas. The main character
Yeah,
is
okay,
most
Ghost.
certainly
You
female.
see
You're right.
that
You're
in the
right. An
United
anime from
States.
20 years ago.
Okay, so you're saying modern people are sexist. I got it. Let me write it down.
Sure. Write it
Well, if I'm
down.
going to chime
Break it
in,
down.
at least from in the United States standpoint, and this is I'm being 20 years old. If I was to ask any of my friends, like major anime that everyone knows, it would almost always be Attack on Titan or One Piece.
And that's full
Those
of
are like the
female
two.
leads. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just in America. Those would be two of the ones that pop up. There's a bunch of other ones too, don't get me wrong, but if you ask anyone, hey, name an anime that comes to mind, One Piece is a huge one just because of how many dang episodes it has, or Attack on Titan, because especially 4 or 5 years ago, that was like the biggest one in the US.
Yeah. I get Ben's point though. I'm just messing with him. I get his point, and he's making a sensible point. This lady is not. She's just bitching for the sake of getting attention, is what she's doing.
Well, no, what she's
See,
doing is
my only
you know
issue when you have someone come in arguing that there needs to be more female leads, I mean, you're not wrong, but on the other hand, and this goes more on a broad spectrum, when you have people demanding more diverse leads in specific shows, you're taking away from the original narrative of the show because now you're adding characters that weren't necessarily in the original idea of the show just for that ethnicity base or that, to have a female character.
Well,
So now you'll have a superhero as a sidekick that didn't originally exist just to please a very, very small number of
yeah,
people
and
and this new woke idea.
yeah, no, they shouldn't do that. But here's the I think the more important question, and I'm sure Ben would agree with me, is the why aren't they bringing more of the female-led stuff over? Because I'm not kidding and I'm not exaggerating. Here in Japan, there are far more female lead female-centric anime than there are male. That's just the plain truth, and it's been that way for a long time. Because women are the biggest consumers of manga and anime in Japan, not men. It just is the reality of it. So the question for me is, this lady's an idiot. But the question for me is, why aren't they bringing more of that over to
um
sell to the female market? That would be the
I think
question.
I think they are. I think it's just taking time. Because my wife
No,
has multiple different even manga that we've gotten her from either ordered off Amazon or found at bookstores. And she had, like I said, she watches literally. That's most of what she watches is she will watch either Korean or Japanese anime or dramas or whatever. She watches them all the time.
Yeah, my wife
And it's
would
not like
well.
she's
God
some like
damn it.
super tech savvy person who knows where the websites are you got to go to find. No, it's just it's right here on all the major platforms. So it is happening. It's just maybe it's not happening as fast as Miss Dwarf Lady would like it to happen. And
And speaking
I don't
from
think
her
there's anything wrong with
perspective,
that. I do think, however, though, when you demand the way that she seems to be demanding that they change things, meaning they make shonen and make a whole bunch of chick-based shonen. Well, okay, but is the audience going to respond to that? Is the audience going to buy that? Because the audience for shonen is pretty much the audience for shonen. Now, lately it's been expanding like crazy with like Demon Slayer and stuff, but it's pretty much the audience that is what it is, right? And I don't know if doing that, especially if with that initiative, is going to actually have the effect that anybody wants. Because it'll probably end up that audience, that young male audience, and even like, the prime demographic under 45 male audience that consumes this stuff, well, they're consuming this stuff because it's not like that. Because if they want to do that, they can just go pick up any Marvel comic right now and find, all kinds of
Fair
female
enough.
leads and things like this.
Yeah, I
So
do
there's
want
a reason why anime and manga are in a mass explosion in the last few years, and one of the main reasons is they're not leaning this way. They're just telling really cool stories.
yeah.
That's it.
I do want to get Ben's thing, but I have to respond to Elrod. Yeah, it's not sphere of knowledge; it's expertise, sir. Go ahead, Ben. Ben.
I was just going to say that there's a lot of stuff out there, kind of speaking to what Chet and I were talking about. There's a lot of different genres and stuff, but they don't
Yeah.
they don't dub a lot of them,
Mm.
right? And I think that's what she's alluding to. There's a ton of stuff on like Crunchyroll and Funimation, but all of them are just subbed, right? So, and she's coming from the perspective of someone who does voiceover work, right? And so I could see them investing more in dubbing work for other genres. So it's another case of where I don't necessarily disagree with you guys, but I do kind of disagree with you guys, right? And I think Chet, you have a good understanding like where I'm coming from here.
Yeah.
So
I
don't
can
think that they
actually
need to.
100% agree with that statement. I mean, I personally don't speak Japanese, and my hardest thing with getting into animes and mangas is the language barrier. And then I know a lot of people who only watch specific animes because that's all that there is, and
Right.
dubbed in our language.
And that's the conversation. Why aren't there more of the other stuff coming over? Yeah. Go ahead, Ben.
Well, no, I mean, I think that's just the crux of it, right? And for what they choose to dub, that is a very narrow market. And if they could expand it a little bit more, I think, but that's pressure they need to put on Funimation. I don't think, they need to change anything with the current stories. I think they just need to expand out to different like genres and see if there's a market for them and try them out, right? Try them out. That's really all that needs to happen.
I would say there's definitely a market for them. I know personally, just in my own life, and obviously it's anecdotal, but I mean, people aren't that different. I know multiple young women, even teenagers, who watch manga or read manga and watch anime, and they do watch a little bit of both, right? They'll watch, a little bit of more the actiony boyish stuff, and a little bit more of the girly stuff, if you want to put it into gendered terms. And I think there absolutely is a market for it, and I hope, we know that these Japanese companies, a lot of them move very slowly, but I hope they're realizing that these explosions with like Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen and all these others that are just obscenely popular right now, I hope they're realizing that means that there's room here, right? They can they already have taken over the comic market pretty much in America. They can really leverage that position for even more and more,
Sure.
Market share and market power. And they can do that by bringing over their more non-traditional, what Westerners consider anime, right? Because most people, when we hear anime, we immediately think shonen in the West, right? We think fighting animes because that's what we've had over here. That's what sells over here.
Yeah.
But as more and more and more people start to get eyes on some of the other stuff, the more dramatic stuff, the stuff that's clearly designed with female audiences in mind. Many of it's written by men, which is very weird. I don't know what's going on in Japan. You got chicks writing the action and men writing all the romance. It's weird. I think you're going to see more and more of this. So I think this problem's already solving itself. Honestly, I think Ben actually hit it on the head, and he doesn't. Maybe he didn't realize it, or maybe he did. I think this chick just wants more work. Is what it sounds like to me. That's all it sounds like to me.
Well,
she's using all this language, all this colorly like SJW-ish language. But really, She's just looking to get paid. That's it. She's just
Well,
looking for more money.
there's a little bit in between the lines where they want all the mean, nasty, bitchy, tough girls
Yeah.
because that's the only reason a way a woman could be tough for some reason. But I know the answer. I was sandbagging a little bit. See, I know why they don't bring those things over, and this is it. There are many, many anime here. I won't even get into the manga. I'll just stick to the anime. There are many, many anime here that are based around, girl stuff. And even the stuff that doesn't have female leads is based around girl stuff. For instance, one of the biggest smash hits they've had here in a very long time was this show about volleyball. It's a boys'
Yep.
high school volleyball team, and it's all about he's so cute, and it's very much leaning toward the girls liking it because, of all the cute characters, and it has all this kind of drama going on. The boys liked it a little bit too because of the action. There's a lot of that kind of stuff where it is very female centric, where the story is really toned down. There's not a lot of action. It's more about the drama, and that's fine. Girls like that. Women like that. But the West has to think about, can we sell this to a Western market when basically they're talking for 22 minutes
Yep.
around a tea, having tea, literally. And over here in Japan, they soak it up, they love it. But can you bring that over? Can that be sold? Because anything that
I'll tell
does
you,
have some
yes.
action, they do bring it over, I think. But
I'm
I think
I'm
that's
gonna
the
say right
problem.
now, in all these Japanese publishers or these people who would make this stuff, the answer is yes. It absolutely will be sold here. It can be sold here.
All right.
I don't know. I don't know if it's enough. The problem is it enough? Right? Is it enough to put all that work in? I think it probably would be. The main problem is there's not enough. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess marketing around it. Because you have to either be subscribed to either like Funimation or Crunchyroll or whatever the website's called now, or like Hulu or Amazon to see most of it. And you can find a lot of it on there, if, with very little effort. Especially once you start finding it, then it starts popping up because the
Sure.
algorithm finds it for you. But it's out there. It's already out there, both in sub and in dub. And I know this for a fact because I hear it all the damn time coming from the other room with my wife watching it.
Actually, I see
And
them within hours dropping dubbed.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, or not
So
dubbed, translated. Sorry, subtitled.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Sub's really fast,
and,
and I know a lot of people who would watch this stuff, but it's sub. They don't want to read, right? So the
Fair.
dub takes a long time to catch up,
It
and
does.
like my son likes My Hero Academia, but he can't watch the latest seasons because it takes a while for the dub version to come out. Like dub is a lot more expensive than subbed, and they pick and choose what they dub
Sure.
a lot more carefully and a lot more judiciously than what they do subbed. Sub can just be dropped anytime.
And they never translate it correctly. You ever notice that? It doesn't catch the feel. I suppose they're doing that intentionally to try to kind of lean the language more toward a Western audience, but it's always not the feel they're trying
Well,
to get.
it's hard because a lot of culturalism in there that American audiences wouldn't understand.
Yeah, I suppose that's
They
true.
just wouldn't. It goes over their head.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, I don't have Tower's problem. I can understand Japanese. Oh, you poor kid. Nothing.
fix that problem on myself too.
Nothing.
I'm gonna learn Japanese.
Okay, Tower's going to let me get away with it. All right, Eric. Before I
No,
move
no,
on,
no, no, no.
Yes.
I
any
like you were saying earlier. It's just I do like anime. It's just there's not a wide selection of dubbed, and there's a few that I have seen that are dubbed that just don't catch like it doesn't seem right. If I'm making sense with that, the way it's dubbed doesn't feel like the story is being told correctly.
Yeah, no, I imagine that's a problem. I've seen it myself. And of course I didn't know that initially, but now that I'm older and my Japanese is so much stronger, I do see it. Eric, you have any closing comments on this before I move to the next one with the dwarven S here?
Let's go on.
Oh, fair.
The
All right.
Dwarveness.
So he said no. All
Blinky
right,
beard.
fine.
What a nonsense name.
Oh, this one's. Oh God, this is gonna be painful. Oh, okay.
Oh boy, here we go. Disney Air responds to parental rights and education law, claims, quote, this anti-woke right-wing nonsense is unsupported by a large majority of Americans, end quote. Sir, you are wrong.
Well, it's not a sir. It's Abigail, actually.
Okay.
It's
Abigail?
yeah,
You are wrong.
the granddaughter, Walt Disney. But the, yeah, she goes off in this, and I'll take a look at it here and let you see. But we've complained here before about the listen and believe. And I know me personally, and I know Thundero will attest to this as well. I try not to let myself fall into that. I do,
Mhm.
because there is a culture war going on for sure, and we tend to take knee-jerk reactions to stuff on what side we think we line up on. But I do try to not allow myself to listen and believe, because that's bullshit. Don't do that. Research it, check it out. But this is one of the most egregious listen and believes I have seen, maybe ever, because the Florida bill has nothing to do with what they say it does. And
That's
they're
right.
just kind of piling on this thing without actually reading the bill. And boy, does she pile on, dude. Let's get into it here, and I'll let me read it first, and let you guys get into your responses. But Ron DeSantis, of course, came out and he said, "I signed HB 1557, the Parental Rights in Education Act, into law." Okay. Now, what does this bill do? So let's take a look at it here. The bill takes three main steps. First, the bill prohibits classroom instruction about sexuality or things like transgender in K through 3 classrooms. And after third grade, those curriculums need to be age appropriate. Now, that's the main part of the bill. This is what it's really about. Now, here's the thing. As a parent myself, and I think we have a lot of parents here with us, this is not, I mean, everyone's kind of leaning on the gay transgender stuff, but just put that aside. Eric, Ben, we have kids. Do you want your children being educated in anything sexual at that age? K through, I would say elementary school at all. But K through
Yep.
3, which this does, do you want your children educated about that at all at that age?
No, no, not at
It,
all, and not by other people
yeah.
personally.
So having it in the curriculum is one thing. I have to. I read the bill originally, and there was some more inflammatory material in there. I think the most recent iteration of it is less egregious. But is this the one that does allow for exemptions to discuss like personal life stuff? Because I thought that was one of the new
Well,
addendums in the bill.
later, after third grade, and where age appropriate, and the parents also have to be notified of the curriculum. And of course, we do have homeschooling in America. They have to be notified. It's not that the school will change it, but the parents need to be told of what will be taught, right? And I think that's fair as well. Um, you know,
No, but I'm talking about there was like exceptions because what about teachers who are gay and stuff like that, and like say a male teacher has a photo of him and his husband, and a child asks them, right, and they're
I
like,
don't
"Who's
think
that?"
that's
And,
the issue. Yeah, I don't think that's the issue.
no,
Uh,
well, no, but it's not. But like the wording, at least in the first iteration of the bill, left that in contention. And again, I have to go look because I think there was a second iteration of the bill that allowed leeway for private conversations because that's where it gets a little bit more nefarious, right? Is that does it like disallow just to even like mention offhandedly like the existence thereof, right?
It
Because
should.
that it should not. It absolutely should not.
No, it
well,
should. Why?
here,
First
Why
of all,
should an adult
no, no,
be
no.
talking about their love life with a kindergartner?
So they that's not what they're talking about, right? Like if they have a photo
Why
of
do they
like
need a
say their
photo of
husband.
their significant other when they're teaching a kindergarten class?
yeah, I get your point, Thundero. But I mean, the simple fact of the matter is, if there's just a photo there, they're like, "Oh, that's my husband." That's not the issue.
I wouldn't. No, I would ban that too.
Uh,
There's no
I will
reason that
say
You
though,
teachers
in the
know,
need to
the
be.
American
free
public
speech
school
guy last
system,
week.
No, listen.
a
There's no.
lot, a
Yeah, but
lot of
you're on.
teachers
You're
push
not
their
on.
belief.
You're not on your time. You're on public property on the public's dime. You don't get free speech anymore.
no, no, no,
No,
no,
no,
no,
no.
no, 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 no,
You
no, no,
don't.
no, no.
You don't.
You you
Just like when you're in the
you
military, you
triggered
don't.
me, sir.
You don't. If you
No,
do,
Chester,
then these people can say anything they want to these children. Why we can't stop them for any reason? They have free speech,
This
don't they?
literally goes in opposition of what you were arguing for
No, it
yesterday. You
doesn't.
now have the government restricting. Yes, it absolutely does. It
They're
goes
public
completely in
workers.
opposite of what you were arguing for last week. Well,
No, it
you're
wasn't.
now having the government come in and tell people what they can and cannot say.
Yes, to
This goes
children.
completely in
Correct.
opposite.
Teachers in positions of authority to children, absolutely.
Yeah, no, they shouldn't be talking about sexuality at all. Now,
I'm okay with that.
yeah,
But just saying like, oh, that's my husband. Like you're now saying you can't have a photo of your family, right?
Yes,
On the
correct.
like, which is completely unreasonable, right?
well, dude,
And
I've
and
never
like
seen
you
that
can't,
in
you're
my
saying
life,
like,
though. I've never
Me
seen a
neither.
teacher with a
Never
family
once.
picture.
That's pretty weird. That's pretty
I
weird.
be
Why are you
fair.
talking
actually,
to these kids about your private
I
life?
can contest this. I can contest this just because I'm recently out of high school. There is a lot of teachers, especially in that middle school to K-12 range, who will have like their desks set up with personal belongings. I mean,
Yeah,
even
that's
a
weird.
lot of schools, if you go into the offices, that's all their desks are is families, friends, stuff like that. I mean, I can actually say from experience, a lot of people have their like little teachers have their little personal space set up, and I mean, I've seen everything from gay pride flags to the full family. So it wouldn't be out of the blue to say that that's something that could be
Huh.
exposed.
Let's see. It
Didn't
wasn't
happen when
like
I
that
was in
when I was a
school.
kid. Yeah, it wasn't.
No, me neither.
It was none of
Because you
that.
know why, Chester? They were there
it
to
was
do a
like that
job.
when I was growing up. I remember a dude showed up and he brought his wife flowers at school for like her birthday and stuff, right? I mean, that's not a big deal, right? The reason I'm kind of like passionate about this is one of my son's best friends, like his dads are gay, and one of them's a teacher in the school here. So this is like very much a subject that's sensitive to me because it has like implications of just like normal social conversations like that, right? And I'm saying, Chad, I'll agree with you. Like, let's not get into the nitty gritty of like actual like biology and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But now you're starting to restrict like just normal social conversation, right?
But when
Yeah,
when it comes
Like
to
teaching.
teaching, a teacher shouldn't be expressing their. You shouldn't. There's a certain personal background, so you understand who your teachers are and all that. But when it comes down to it, and you're talking about K through 12, there's not really a good reason why a teacher should be bringing in all of their own social life. I mean,
no,
when they're
or politics for
teaching,
that matter.
No, I'm
I
not saying
understand
that
I'm
the
even
that.
teacher
okay.
should be. I'm not
I'm
saying. Let
even
me be
okay with
very clear.
politics.
Let me be very clear. I'm not saying if a child asks the teacher about their spouse or whatever, and they just answer them honestly, that the teacher should be punished. But that teacher
No,
shouldn't
no.
just be giving that information. They shouldn't be having conversations like that with a kid.
Yeah.
That's weird.
You know,
That's really weird.
it's interesting
It's
that you
weird
mentioned
that you
that,
have a
Tower.
problem with that.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It is a little.
It
But
absolutely is.
Tower,
Uh,
it is
Corlac,
interesting you say this to me because when I was a kid, and I want Eric to speak up on this because
Oh, dang it.
well, no, because when we were kids, dude, we didn't know anything about our teachers. We didn't
That's
know
right.
nothing
the
about their
best
social
teacher,
life
Chester,
or
the
who they were
best
married
teacher
to.
I've ever had, hands down, when I was sophomore year of high school, I had a math teacher.
Yeah.
And this teacher, the first day of class, or actually, no, it was my biology teacher. My bad. That's my mistake. My biology teacher was very straightforward. He said, if I do my job correctly, you will have no idea how I swing politically, my personal
Yep.
life. And I mean, I could tell you he had a wife, he had 2 kids, he had dogs, he greenhouse. I can tell you little facts like that. To this day, I do not know if this man is the most hardcore liberal guy I've ever met or
Yeah.
the most conservative, hate government guy I've ever met. He
And
taught the curriculum, and none of that personal life
well,
bled through.
well, first of all, yeah, of course that's the way it should be, and that's the point I'm making. And everyone hates government. Let's be fair. Eric, but did you know anything about your teachers at all, dude?
Yeah, no, except for
No.
maybe one time when one had gotten pregnant and had to take off a couple months.
Oh, well,
I mean,
fair.
that was it. That was it. I mean, I knew nothing about their personal lives. One time I did see a teacher at a movie theater, but that was it. I mean,
Yeah,
The
no,
only
we never
teachers
we
I
never
knew
talked
about.
about personal lives. We never
Yeah.
talked about marriage. We never,
Yeah.
we didn't
Right,
talk
you're
about
there.
that kind of
You're
stuff.
there to do a job, right? Like
Yeah.
you don't.
We're there to
It
teach
is
us, and
weird.
we are there to learn.
But other than Thundero, I think we can agree that don't talk about sexuality whatsoever to the kids. If some kid asks you who's in the picture, which I don't know why it's there, but if they did, oh, that's my husband. We're okay with it. Thundero's not, but the rest of us are, right?
I'm not okay. I'm not okay with any personal effects at all
Yeah,
from
fair
these
enough.
teachers. I
I
don't. Then there's a reason for it. It's not just because
no,
fuck teachers.
I could get it
The
behind
reason
that actually.
is because the reason is and most other jobs that you work, that's kind of the rule, right? You don't bring personal stuff to work. And there's a
It
reason
used to
for
be
that.
anyway. I don't.
Oh,
It
right.
sounds like it's
It's become
changed.
very weird.
Talking about?
There's a
What are
reason
you
for that.
talking about?
No,
Every job I've ever had.
my
Okay.
Every
generation,
job
Ben,
I've ever
would
had.
never
Alright.
bring personal effects to work, dude.
Sure.
That's definitely
Yeah.
my generation, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Every job I've ever
Even
had, you
even
don't
my
bring
job
personal.
now has a. You're not supposed to have personal effects on
Yeah.
your desk, and
I mean,
I do work in a corporate office too.
I have a school that's got art and pictures and stuff all over. It's very nice, but there's not a single picture of my family or me anywhere.
That's right. And there's another good reason to not do that. There's really weird people in this world, not even talking about like sexuality or anything, just weird people who will use that information against you. And you should protect that as much because they're your family. You should love them. And people like teachers, sometimes they can get, it can be a dangerous job sometimes, depending on where you're teaching and
It
things
can.
like this
Yep.
and on who you're dealing with and whatnot. So maybe people need to be a little bit more cautious with their personal information, is my
Right.
point.
Well, okay.
Just
Let's move on though, because it
right.
sounds like they did add a caveat to cover that kind of stuff, so let's leave that to the side. The fact that you shouldn't be teaching sexuality to kids in any way. It doesn't matter what kind of sexuality, just no. Okay. So let's move on to the second part of the bill, because we need to get into what Abigail said. I think it's important. Second, the bill ensures that at the beginning of every school year, parents will be notified about health care services offered at the school with the right to decline any service offered. And finally, this bill ensures that whenever a questionnaire or health screening is given to our young students, parents receive it first and give permission for the school to give it to their child. Obviously, why does this even have to be mentioned? This is clearly parental right. I don't even understand why it has to be put in writing.
So basically, they're mad that
Oh
the
boy.
parents are taking responsibility for their kid. Oh fucking Christ! What a horrible thing.
Yeah, well, it's weird that it's in here because, I mean, of course you should do that. What are we talking
Yes.
about here?
Well,
Uh,
Chester. I know you've been away from the states for a while, but there's been a significant period where basically the parents just treated schools, and I'm not going to even say a majority, but a significant portion treats public schools as an extended daycare.
Yep.
yeah,
You know
Where
what? You know what?
to get
He
up
is
8 in the
100.
morning,
He is 100% right. Hands
get
down.
up 8 o'clock, get the little bastards out the house so you can go off and do whatever it is you're doing, and
what does PTA
up
not exist
until
anymore?
not in the way it used to.
Huh.
It's still there, but not in the way it used to be.
So
Like
you would not recognize the states if you
Well,
came back.
my wife did
like
say that if I was in the States, I'd be in prison. She's probably correct on that.
yeah. Well, see, but we're older school guys. Like when I was a kid, no matter what kind of bullshit I thought to do in school, the phrase "I'm gonna tell your daddy" would stop me dead in my tracks because it's
Oh
like
yeah.
because I could rationalize
Oh yeah,
things. Whatever was going on in school, it's like, well, this is just 7 hours. I got to go home and live with that motherfucker.
that's right. No,
So
seriously, no, Dad was scary.
and
Here in Japan,
and
they
and
say
up in,
you should fear three things: thunder, lightning, and father. You know,
and up
That's
until
good.
up until the pandemic, you had a significant group of parents in this country that had no idea what their kids were being taught, no idea who was teaching them,
Yep.
no ideas what their kids was being given in terms of health coverage. Even as they didn't even know what they was getting as far as a lunch. So for many,
Yeah. You're
so
there's when I was in school, Grim, there was a significant portion of students, especially in high school, where their only meal that they ate was coming from that school.
yeah,
yeah,
And I
that's
mean,
another issue. That's another problem.
there were kids who
Yeah,
pretty much that school had everything you needed pretty much to. I mean, there were kids who'd come in before, after. I think the school was open until 7 o'clock at night. You could stay there
yeah,
because they'd use the library for
oh,
Wi-Fi.
me
They
too.
had pretty much everything you needed because
yeah.
there was some kids who would stay there with the counselor because they were getting abused at home.
That's a
I
whole
mean,
nother issue, dude. Yeah, Ben, I'm never
it's
going to go
that
through this
bad
article,
though.
am I?
Well, you will, but it's just saying, the parts that they're like you said, they're really trying to take something that should be seen as a positive, as in the parents, because this is needed to happen for a long time, where the parents are actually doing their damn jobs and being parents and
Yeah.
taking control of their households, taking control of their kids, because the parents, as one Kevin Samuels is pointing out, their job with kids is you're the ones who are supposed to instill
Oh,
values
Kevin.
and culture and things of that nature.
Wouldn't it be a shame if
I'm not, and I'm
we could rally these parents with their newfound interest into a cause that would
yeah,
actually
like
help,
homeschooling. Get rid of
Yeah.
the abolition of public schools?
Sure.
Oh
Well,
God.
yeah, but see, the thing you guys are talking about really has nothing to do with this bill. This bill is
I know.
saying that the parents must be notified. What they do with that notification is not mentioned, and nor should it be.
yeah,
But
but there's been a long period where they didn't. They just
Yeah.
yeah, and that's
that's what I'm
weird. I
saying.
don't get that. I brought home little flyers and things to be signed by my parents like constantly. But anyway, let me move on. So this one is just like no brainer. Of course, the parents should be notified. What the hell? And pointing to independent journalists. So there's the two parts. Okay, so and I don't have a problem with either of it. Don't talk to kids about these things because they I mean, and there's more important to this because I hear a lot of nonsense. And me being an educator myself, and I've had my own children, I have been around this age kid type of kids for 20 years. 20 years I've been teaching this age range, right? And I
Mhm.
guarantee you, at the high end of this, the 9-year-old, they're not going to get what the hell you're talking about anyway. They're really not going to get it to around 12, 13, and that's junior high. Because that's when their brain turns on. This is a problem with a lot of these people. They don't understand children. A child isn't even human until they get around 12, 13 years old. They're not. They
Yeah.
don't even understand the concept of time and their place in it. That's one of those big things that happens in your life around that age of 12, at puberty. It's a big, huge mental change, not just a chemical one, right? So it's dumb in the fact that you don't understand what you're talking about. These kids aren't going to do it. Matter of fact, children naturally are very adaptable and appeasing. Therefore, if you push the kid and say yeah, you're gay. I'm pretty sure you're gay. The kid's going to do it because he wants the attention, wants the love. Because you know what? The kid doesn't even know what you're talking about. They don't get the concept. So all of it is stupid from an educator point of view because it's showing me clearly that a lot of these educators don't understand children at
Yeah.
all. So this,
Well,
and I'm coming from a place of experience, right? 20
I can
years of
answer that
experience.
real quick. A lot of them are children. Mentally, the way they behave, the way they act, the way they carry themselves. You can see this on their TikTok videos and stuff. Like the people post them all over the place. These people behave like children, and they're not doing it in like an ironic way. I think this is just who they are.
No, I believe
Um,
they're true believers, a lot of them. I agree with
yeah,
you. Yeah.
and it's a big problem, and there's a lot of solutions to it. One of them, obviously, it would be a much more radical. Many of them would be more radical than the others. But I think that's why you see this problem that you're having. These people, they don't think like full-grown people. They don't think like adults. They don't have a mature mindset, and they have a very childish either worldview or even just childish personality, and
Lack
not in like
lack
an
of
endearing
research.
way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
not in an endearing way.
anyway, so the bill itself, caveats aside, additions aside, it's nothing. It's practical common sense. Of course, this should be this way. But here is Abigail Disney. Now, she goes on a rant. So let's see what she said. A thread, a rant. Like all radical ideologies or ideologues, sorry. What's radical about what I just read? The right wing has finally run amok. Have they? Is this a right wing issue? I really don't think it's political, to be honest with you, dear. And it's coming to devour the hand that feeds it. Oh, Disney feeds us? Well, thank you, Miss Abigail. Business. For my part, I'm delighted. It is the business world that has been either by act or omission feeding the opportunist right wing to distract. Now, she continues here, and there's a bunch of stuff we can read from what she's saying, but I don't think this is a political issue. What's political about it?
Um, DeSantis did it, and there's a huge portion of the quote unquote left, which is a non sequitur really, that hates him for various reasons, and if he did it, they're against it. It's kind of like with Obama when the right did the same thing with Obama, and Trump when the left did the same thing with Trump. The tribalism's gotten so strong now that people will just reject anything even remotely rational as if it comes out of the wrong mouth. They just there's a huge swath of people in this country like this.
Yeah, I've seen
that.
Because they're completely ignoring that the non-left leaning citizens of Florida pushed for this. This didn't fall out of the sky.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't see the politics in it. I mean, someone explain to me the politics, because it's not. It's just, hey, let's not teach children about something they don't understand, leave it out. It's never been that way. Matter of fact, you get arrested for this shit throughout most of the history. So where's the politics?
It's like Thundaro said, it's the tribalism of it, because if Ron DeSantis was a liberal and he'd have passed this bill, they wouldn't have said shit. It's kind of like how the left bitched and moaned about how Trump was gonna deport all these people and this and that, and completely ignoring
he never said
that there has been no president in American history that deported more people than the Obama administration.
Yeah, and Trump it's never not said even such a thing at all. He never said such a thing.
Well, he didn't, but like I said, he didn't even come close. Yeah. But it's because of the tribalism. It's because of the mouth it came out of. Like, for example, if the whole hydroxychloroquine had came out of Fauci's mouth and not Trump's mouth, people would have been quicker to give it a chance.
And it sounds like it works.
When they did. Yeah, it worked. That's why it's not COVID hasn't been a problem in Africa, which is largely second and third world countries. But God forbid we use our brains.
Yeah, no, I mean, but this is a little bit more than some standard silly politic. This is very common sense dealing with your kids.
This is why you're seeing
there,
in real time.
There is no such in American politics, though, Chester. There is no such thing anymore as common sense, and that's just whole. There's no such thing as common sense, because if someone argues something, someone on the other side is gonna, like you said, tribalize. It doesn't matter if it's the most common. This way is right, this way is left. Someone is going to fight you if it's not their belief.
Yeah.
Even if it's like scientifically proven, if it doesn't go like hydroxychloroquine, I just butchered that. But Trump says it's good. They find out it's good. There's still people on the left who are actively saying that it's bad because of Trump 2 years ago. Even though now that the CDC might say it's good, it's just the general census of if one side says it's good, then it must be bad, vice versa, and it's everything. Everything is now politicized.
Sounds like a
I'm gonna disagree with that, because can I offer the counter argument for that?
Sure.
Oh yes,
please. Say that is because for most of my liberal cuck friends who I know about this, their sense was not that it doesn't work, but like we didn't have any science about it, right? And so if the science comes out, so like let me offer another kind of example. If science came out and said ivermectin's gonna like cure the thing, I'd be totally fine with that, right? And so this whole conversation I find very ironic, because there's a huge push from the Republican side against the vaccines that did have a lot of science about it, saying how good they were, and then hydrochloroquine, like nobody's against it, but we didn't have the science for it. And if the science is saying it's good now, great, I'm all for it. Like anything else that we can fight this thing with, I'm 100% with. But we didn't have the science for it at that time. And now that we do, great, let's start using it, right? I think that's most of my friends.
Can you get back on? Hold on, no, stop. Do not get into a tangent. Because I could go on for an hour. Hold on, no. Because I could go on for an hour proving exactly what Ben said to be false. Because there's a lot of science going on. But I don't want to get into that. We're going to stick on this subject. I wasn't going to do
that. I was actually going to ask a question. I wasn't going to get into that.
All right, go ahead.
Because he mentioned people. Just out of curiosity, you mentioned the people you deal with. I don't know how many people you do. How many people do you? I know you have a job where you got to deal with people,
Yeah.
but how often do you actually deal with people? Because
Every day.
um, what you because Ben, what you're saying sounds very anecdotal that the people you've talked to are not like that, but for the most part, on both Seven said on both sides, it is like that. It is talking about anything nowadays has become politicized. It's to the point of where you're just
No,
arguing with drunken sports fans, where
Exactly
it's
what it
right,
is.
only
I'll agree with
Best
cool
that.
analogy.
when their team does it.
No,
That's
no,
pretty much what it is.
I'll yield to the contention you have right there. But like when I say this, I'm not just talking about like anecdotes with my friends, but I'm talking about like in media that I read and in media that I consume. And I try to not maintain any echo chambers. I try to branch out to other forms of media to try to be fairly well educated about what's going on. But most of what I consume says like, hey, ivermectin, like we don't really have much details on that or much reports, or hey, all the other things. And so like
Yeah,
that's
but in those two
the
cases, it was flat out mocked. It wasn't, oh, we don't have science. It was flat out
Yeah,
mocked
it was clearly
because of where it came
politicized.
no, 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 no.
from.
Hold on. When you say mocked, I need definitions of like what that means. Like,
All
what
right.
do you mean by mocked?
There was all.
Chester, wait,
Let's
wait,
see.
wait, wait,
All
wait,
the
wait, wait,
bits,
wait,
all the memes about it's Horsty
wait,
Wormer.
Yeah, but
Chester.
That was
Right,
CNN's.
but
All right,
like, no,
let's
no, no.
not
Hold
bring them
on,
into this.
hold on. Like, you understand that that came about because ivermectin was flying off the shelves. People couldn't find it. People were buying it from veterinarians, and then they were getting poisoned because they were using like the horse dewormer version. So like the meme was created because of an actual
yes,
specific incident that happened where people were getting so like that happened and that created the meme. That's just how social culture
that
Yeah,
was
works.
not
and
the
people
Like
do
I
that
don't
was
know
not
how
the
track.
to explain
context he was
social
being
culture
used.
to
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Yeah. So let's get back on topic, please.
Wait, before you do that, Chester, what I was going to say is
Oh,
no, it's not about this. It's actually
I'm
about
gonna
to be
get me
about
some
this guy.
coffee. I'll be right back.
Listen, listen,
get
listen,
me
listen.
some too.
Yes, let me say it. How about we do this next week? We will have what he's looking for. We will show him what we're talking about. All of the scorn that was placed at the feet of people who were just trying to promote an alternative
And the
solution
science
or
of
an alternative.
Pfizer.
Yes, let's. We've
Okay,
never done it
can I
really.
present? Okay,
Let's
so I
bring
like this
back.
challenge.
Let's
Can I
bring
present
back
my
tinfoil
alternative
talk.
also?
Yes,
Sure,
please.
Sure.
absolutely.
Yes,
Let's
please.
bring
That
back
that would be the
tinfoil
whole
talk.
point. Yeah. Yeah.
Tinfoil
Yeah.
talk next week. We'll do it, and we will come with receipts.
Yes.
And we
So
will do the tinfoil talk on the not so much COVID itself. We already kind of did that one, but we'll do it on the
hysteria.
response, the
Yeah.
hysteria, the
Um.
hysterics around COVID.
Oh,
And keep in mind, before anybody even says that I'm biased or whatever, my father died to COVID 3 months ago, so I have a personal loss invested in this. So when I say something, it's not coming out of a place of political bias. It's coming from personal experience with a little bit of political bias. So I have a different weighted scale than a lot of people do because I have a direct loss
So
from
you
it.
admit there's a bias?
Of course, everybody has a bias.
Okay,
Everybody.
all right,
yeah.
just
Now,
checking, just
now,
checking.
Elrod. Of course, that is true, and that's the point I'm making. I don't understand the politics in this situation. So let's get back on track to what she is talking about here. We're talking about this lady, Abigail Disney, is going full political on something that shouldn't be political at all. Not right, not
Yep.
left, just not political. So give your point on that, Ben, and then I'll move on to the next tweet.
My I hold on. The point on what her Abigail, what's her name?
Disney.
Oh, um, so my point is going to be simple. The beginnings of this conversation were quite contentious, and I think that's what built on to her commentary. Like if you notice the exchange that I had with you guys, specifically Thundaro, like I think that's the basis of a lot of this conversation, right? And it is a difference of worldview, and it is a difference of interpretation of how to interact in very specific social interactions. Like if you want to, like because that's the problem is like you're assuming that they're damning the entirety of the bill, and I'm assuming that they have contentious problems with minor portions of the bill, right?
Yes, but that's
Because
not what I'm
you can't
hearing,
throw out the
though,
entire.
Ben.
Well, it gets embroiled in political talk, right? And I will completely admit
neither side is very accurate in, I mean, like, and I appreciate Thundero bring up a really good example of like what they did with Obamacare, right? And they started talking about death panels and stuff like that. Like that was not a thing that happened in the Affordable Care Act, right? And so I will totally agree that it is
I'm gonna write
ill-scoped
that down. The
counter
death
arguments, but
panels that did happen have to be mentioned next week. God damn it, Ben. All
oh
right,
god
I'm
damn
sorry.
it,
Go ahead.
Chen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you, that's a whole different conversation. But
It is.
the point being is that I think there is like a minor scope of contention here that gets blown out of proportion. But like, that's the only way to gain any traction in like social commentary is to blow it out of proportion because we're not good with subtle and
Yeah,
nuance,
but where's
right?
the
That's just not how the
contention
social
is my
interaction works
problem.
anymore.
Where's the
Well,
contention?
we had the contention at the very beginning of this conversation. We were talking about whether it's not, it is or is not okay to just mention that you're married and who you're married to. Like that, we had that like argument here on this panel, and it got
No,
contentious
I
just on that
didn't.
minor
You
point.
did.
In fairness, I'm much further right wing than DeSantis will ever even dream about being. So his, if that was in there at all,
Oh
it was
boy,
an
don't tell
accident.
DeSantis that. He's not gonna like that.
No, DeSantis is a lefty. He's a lefty compared to me.
Wow, that
Yeah,
is amazing to hear.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
I'm so far right wing. I'm almost back around to the left. I've almost done the whole horseshoe. That's
Every
how far
man, woman, and child should be given a revolver at birth.
I like
That
that.
would be a good idea. Anyway, let's
That
continue
is
with Abigail here. Us with culture war nonsense, while they are talking opposing to the Republicans, while they rifle through the till and empty everyone's pockets. Okay, you guys do that too, especially Disney. God, you realize Grandpa would really not be happy with you. The anti-woke right-wing nonsense is unsupported by a large majority of Americans. In fact, most Americans are offended by it and wish it would go away. That is provably wrong in an
Yeah,
epic way. The
demonstrably
Americans have shown very clearly they're sick and shit of your woke. They are absolutely sick and shit of it. And the thing is, most Americans are not political. They're kind of like me, right? And they're
yeah,
sick of your nonsense. Now, to be fair, if we go back in time, we can find moments that Republicans were being just as asinine.
yep.
Fair enough.
Worse, worse
And
actually.
and I'm not even happy with the Republicans as they stand. That has nothing to do with it. But this is nonsense. You're just is she really this delusional?
Yes, liberal bubble.
Most coastal white liberals are.
Yeah,
I'm a
They just are.
coastal white.
yeah,
But
but
you're not
you're a
liberal.
bugbear.
So you don't carry
I
that
am the
retardation around.
That's fair.
the
That is
best.
fair.
The best way to look at it is if you look at a political map of the United States and you look at every blue dot or every Democratic liberal spot in the entire country is a major city. There is not any other parts. There's three cities that control the entire United States: Chicago, New York, and the two cities, California. But pretty much those three major cities, whatever they want almost goes. It doesn't matter
Yeah,
like anyone else.
that's an eternal
I know
problem though. That's an eternal
it
problem.
it,
Yeah.
it, it really is. I mean, I live near Chicago, and
That's a shame.
every county they're actually actively changing county lines to make it where
Well,
even more southern areas are being forced into the
yeah,
Chicago's demographic.
they do
So
that
the
all the
state
time.
will perpetuate. Yeah, we're,
Yeah.
we're we're stuck in a blue spring until it's gonna end up being war in the city.
Well, I mean, they do that all the time. Both sides do that all the time. They're constantly trying to control the by drawing the lines. Anyway, she continues. You need two things to rule with a minority. What? First, you need to be constantly looking for fresh meat to throw to the minions, clearly, to keep them riled up all the time. That works until the herd thins. Remember Scar and Lion King. Okay, so now they're coming for American business. Well, first of all, no one likes government, and and big business. They shoot themselves in the head all the time by their own actions. Let me see if I can get through it real quick here. She continued saying, it was really only a matter of time. But the second thing you need to rule with a minority is money. So, who's the minority in this conversation, Abigail? Lots of it. You need the very deep pockets to fund you. Yes, we see it or on both sides, yes. And it seems like the Democrats are outspending the Republicans, to be honest with you. And if they don't, you need them to sit quietly along the sidelines out of your way. Okay. Once again, who are you talking about here? Until now, business has been content to do just that. Or they're compartmentalized, like sociopaths, where they funded folks like Dennis Baxley, who wrote the hateful "Don't Say Gay" bill. That's not the name of the bill, and it has nothing to do with that. Because as the CEO claimed, he had no way of knowing he might vote for legislation like that. Ha! Or else they have chosen silence. Their silence brought us Donald Trump. Wow. Apparently, the racism and xenophobia and the misogyny weren't deal breakers. Where was any of that? Their silence, or at least willingness to compartmentalize when it came to politicians who were willing to fight for. Six. Oh, I see. Their outrageous and multi-decade campaign to stack the deck against the American people brought us this whole raft of Trump wannabes now casting about the. You do realize you can say exactly the opposite for Democrats, right? For new and more insidious ways to tear the country apart. This lady is delusional. I'm not going to bother reading anymore. She's just out of her freaking mind, dude.
Pure
Uh,
tribalism.
because the Democrats do exactly the same thing, and the simple fact is the Democrats are winning that. Now I know they're going to
Oh,
lose here
absolutely.
because of it's gone too far. They were stupid. They overplayed their hand. That's what they've done. They've overplayed their hand. But this is ridiculous. The Democrats do exactly what she's bitching about. She
Yeah.
goes on quite a bit here. But I'm just saying, what delusion. And look how far we've come away from the topic. The topic is,
Oh,
need
it
I
just tremble.
remind you, that we're going to not talk about any kind of sexuality whatsoever. It's not specific sexuality, just any sexuality up until third grade. And parents need to be notified of whatever's going on in the school. That's the bill. And look where we've gone. Look where it's gone.
That it goes against their core values. Like those people who are pushing that stuff, if you have kids, they want parents to be in the blind. If parents know what the school systems are spoon feeding their children, no sane parent would willingly let their child consume that kind of knowledge. And it's also control. They want being told that they can't do something is like it's like telling a kid, don't touch that. What are they going to do? They're going to
Right.
touch that. They don't like being told they can't do something. They want to do whatever they can. So if they believe, I truly feel in a liberal sense of manner and the way that these people think is that like with the woke agenda, LGBTQ, all of that, it's like a social norm that they feel they have to pressure people into. Like you're not normal if you're not LGBTQ is that sense. Like everybody has to be accepting, and if you don't openly support gayness or are gay, then you hate gays. If that like, it's almost like an idea like if you're not African American, if you don't have a black friend, then you hate all black people. It's that same thought process, and that's really killing it.
My black friend's only half black. But
You're half a racist, Chester.
yeah,
It's
I'm
fine.
half racist. But it's
I'm
just
Super Saiyan racist.
it's true. Yeah. But now, go ahead, Ben.
I love it. Super Saiyan racist.
Oh, I mean, I got no additional commentary. Really, I'll agree that I think she's blown it out of proportion, but I think that's just kind of the nature of the political discourse. And I think what I really have come away from this conversation with is that, contrary to the conversation last week, Thundero is okay with federal censorship of speech. So that's a good lesson I learned from this.
Yeah. Take
Oh, I
that,
am.
Thundero.
I absolutely am. The reason why I want neutrality is because I'm a bastard, and if a bastard like me gets his hands on that power,
See, the biggest thing with modern liberalism in this thought process too is it's not based on equality, like the core fundamentals of the U.S. But the Constitution, where all men is created equal. They're really pushing equity, and even if you listen to the
That's
current
true.
administration and what they're pushing, they're essentially saying that if you've been a minority in any way throughout history, we owe you something. So a great example of that would be, I might have never done wrong to somebody in my life, but the idea is because of my skin color and my ethnicity, I owe other people. I owe them something. Let it be monetary value. This is African Americans getting into better colleges. Asians are actually being oppressed from colleges in the United States
Affirmative
based
action.
on
Yes.
ethnicities. Yes, it's a whole
And
idea of equity, and equity buys votes. If you're going to give people money and you're going to give them power, they're going to vote for you. So if you
Yep.
run on equity, people love it, but it's not the core fundamentals of America, and that's why the conservatives and just the more neutral leaning people, I feel, absolutely hate this thought process because it's moving away from core American
Well, it's
values.
moving away from common sense. And the thing with this is that I understand you guys are telling me, okay, this is just political discourse in the country. Things are so polarized, and it's just us versus them, and it's just this political culture war. However, did not any of these idiots, and there's the list of people that are jumping on board against the Florida bill, is freaking long. Have they not stopped and thought for a minute in their political discourse and their desire and absolute addiction to having to oppose anything that is seen as even slightly Republican? Have they not noticed that they are actually promoting something that is harmful to children? Do they not understand that
no,
a
They
parent?
they do not care.
Yeah.
it's
But
like I
it's
said before, Chester.
disgusting, dude. I'm telling you what. If I was in the
It's
states and some teacher was teaching my little kid about sex, I'd lay him the fuck out.
Chester, in the current U.S. school system, and I mean when I say the policies are so bad, if someone comes up to you and decides to assault you, battery, just an unprovoked attack, if you do anything to fight back, it is an automatic expulsion in the U.S. school system. If someone
Yep.
comes up to you, socks you in the face, the school system expects you to literally just sit there and they just want you, don't move. They just keep letting them beat your head into the concrete
Does the
until someone can help you.
does
If
the
you lay your
sacker
hands
kick?
on them, immediate
Does the
expulsion.
sacker get kicked out? The
Both
soccer.
will. Actually, I had a friend get expelled for breaking up a fight because he put his hands on another student to stop his friend from getting knocked out. 3
Wow.
people expelled because one kid decided to assault the other, and someone broke it up, and they expelled all 3 who were involved.
Yeah, no, I've seen that in some inner city schools. It's gotten really bad. The violence, yeah, I've seen crying teachers who seem to actually be very enthusiastic teachers have quit because of the violence and nonsense and their complete lack of control. I understand that's out of control as well, which is a separate conversation. But I'm just talking about, can they not see what they look like? I mean, you are literally standing up for the idea of sexualizing kindergartners. That's what they're
Chester.
standing up for. And like I said,
It
I don't see the politic. There is no politic here.
you're not seeing it because you haven't been here. It's really gotten that tribalistic. It's like it was said before. If one side is
Really is.
for it, the other side is against it. Right now, if you say if you pass the bill saying throwing a baby off a building is a bad idea, if it comes out of the mouth of Republicans, the liberals are gonna hate it. If it came out of the mouth of a liberal, the Republicans are gonna hate it. That they're that fucking stupid.
Well, wait. It depends on the
They're,
baby. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh
they're,
God.
they're, they're that fucking stupid.
I knew this was
Yeah,
going to be
if
painful. I
If,
knew I knew it. I
Esther, if
knew
you
it.
go around
Knew it.
holding a
And
billboard that just says "Don't commit suicide" on a liberal campus, someone will assault you. Like if you're wearing a American flag T-shirt with a sign that says "Don't commit suicide" and you're a Republican, someone will come up and fucking mace you. I'm sorry for the language, but they will mace you. I know this because I've had it happen to my friends who are in college. You cannot be. It's so tribalistic that if you, like for Republicans, it's almost sort of scary because if you have conservative values in this country, you have to be under the radar or you will get attacked. I mean, I've had friends who've had their tires stabbed out, windows broken. I mean, I had a buddy whose house got torched, and like I said, I'm near Chicago, so that's no surprise to anyone. But it really is just violence on both sides.
Is it? It sounds like you're telling me that there's violence on the liberal side and the Republicans are ducking and covering. That's what it sounds like you're telling me. Because I'm not there. I'm just listening to you.
As
It
of
sounds like the
as
liberals
of
are being
right
violent.
now, yeah, there's extremes on both sides. Do not get me wrong, but a great example of this would be the Black Lives Matter riots. They were burning down cities. January 6th, the only person who got injured was one of the protesters. And if you mention
That's not
January,
accurate. That's not
well,
accurate.
I know
One
there were
person's
security
not
guards
killed.
who were injured, but I mean, they didn't burn down the Capitol
Okay,
building.
so obviously it wasn't one protester who was injured. So automatically you're starting with a falsehood on that.
Yeah, no, okay.
I'm just saying.
I get you're saying, Ben, but let's take a look at it.
Yeah.
Compare the January 6th to the burning of cities by Antifa Black Lives Matter. Which is worse?
Mostly black neighborhoods
Which is
still.
worse?
I'm going to say the
I'm
Black
asking
Lives
Ben.
Matter
I'm
protest.
asking. I know what you're going to say.
Why
I'm
do?
asking Ben.
Oh, hold on. I don't like the binary aspect of the
Ha!
question. I don't like either. I'm not supporting like the either. I don't like. Can I say no to either one? I don't want either of them.
Fair.
Must
Neither
pick
do
My
I.
one.
my
There is
Neither do
only
I.
one.
my only
There's only
takeaway with
two.
it is the people who preach the idea of peaceful protest are the same ones setting fires to buildings. I mean, when we had those protests sweep through my town, the local there out of every store that got burnt that got attacked, they burnt down the local drugstore that was owned by I forgot their name. I think
Yeah.
it was the Smith family. They owned a drugstore that's been in the town for like 70 years.
Yeah.
And out of every place, they decided to burn that one to the ground. The local drugstore. And then
Yeah,
they
no,
stole the sign from
they're
McDonald's.
tearing up their own neighborhoods. I get that. Or a lot of the people are being bussed in. That's a long conversation. I get into it
But if
to
you
get
fight
into it,
it,
but
if you fight it, you're if you even if you say just don't burn down my local drugstore, you're seen as a racist for not supporting the cause and
right.
joining in the violence.
Well, keep in mind with something a little askew. 8 years ago, we had, is it eight? Yeah, 8 years ago. We had a little thing go on over there in the East Europe called the Maidan Revolution. Now, the Maidan Revolution, of course, it was in Kiev, and it led to where we are now. And that was very, very much like what Black Lives Matter and Antifa or Black Bloc are doing. It was the same kind of thing. It was a political opinion, government stuck in the middle of it. It's all the nonsense and propaganda you've heard about that is just that propaganda because it's the from my point of view and the research I've done into it, there's hardly any difference between the two as far as the ideology. And look what happened there 8 years later. So I'm just saying, this kind of thinking, this kind of politic does not help anyone. And it's shocking to me that we have a lot of grown adults in positions of authority and status that are sitting here saying that no, children need to be educated about sexuality. It's disgusting. It's criminal, is what it is. And I don't understand the cowardly nature of the majority of the Republicans in America because I see very few of them standing up to this easy, easy thing to stand up against. Does everyone talk about DeSantis being a hero? He's just normal governor. I
That's
mean,
right.
it's what's extreme about saying don't talk to kids about sex, and we have all these other Republican governors that are just doing shit. So when anyone tells me that it's a give and take that the Republicans are just as bad as the liberals, it's not true. It's clearly not true. The liberals are winning
Um,
this. They're far more aggressive. They're far more violent. It's not even close. It's not
Yeah.
even close.
Chester,
I think
I can answer this part. The reason why there's such a backlash to them being told not to talk about it is because starting with my generation in particular, he was basically told you could do whatever the fuck you want, and if somebody push back, there's always somebody else you can go to above them to get that person out of your way. If you was acting up at home and your parents tried to stop you, you could go to school, go to your guidance counselor and report them, or go here, go. They always promoted an avenue.
Yeah.
So you got a group of kids, grown ass kids, because they're not adults. I call them grown ass kids. They get out into the real world where the real world does not accommodate that nonsense. And for the first time in a lot of these people's lives, they're hearing no, and they can't fucking deal with it.
Wow. That's the power
Meltdown.
of
You
that's
have
the
20,
power.
20, 20 college graduates. You look at a lot of these teachers that they're talking about. These are people in their early mid 20s. They just got out of college, haven't heard no in their life, and now they go somewhere and they hear it for the first time, and it's like you shot them in the genitals,
Yeah, well, that's
which
where
would
the
probably
power
be
of
a better
shame
solution.
the power of shame comes into play, right? But anyway, huh, I'm moving on from it. God damn
Good.
it. Anyway,
Yeah, you guys. Jeez. God.
I'm going to get a coffee. So you guys talk about this for a second.
Ooh. E3 cancels 2022 physical and digital shows to focus on quote revitalized end quote event next year. Okay. I think
What do
we
they
left
mean
on the
by
worst possible one.
revitalized?
What could potentially
So
be
this is
here?
complicated because a lot more studios have been pulling out of E3 because they want to do their own thing, right?
That's
So
right.
like there's BlizzCon and there's other like shows that are central to like their own independent studios. So like
Yeah,
E3 has always been as it's been going on problematic because people don't want to give all their stuff up for like a show that doesn't like feature them explicitly, right? And so a lot of people question like like what does E3 even serve anymore, right? Like what is the purpose of E3, right?
I think
So
that it's
yeah,
screwed people over in the past. So, like a good example for me would be, say, Halo 2. Because E3, you're expected to make, your trailer because that's where you hype up a game.
Microsoft has their
So
own
Halo 2,
like
to me,
there's nothing
Halo 2 is a good example because they put all their time. A developer puts a lot of time into making a good demo for E3 that doesn't reflect the game per se, and not all the time, but just it's in some cases. And it's almost always every time I've seen an E3 trailer, it seems to just be backlash. Like it hypes them up in the immediate, but when the actual game comes out, I almost never hear of it. The E3 trailer was accurate with the game release. It always seems like the E3 trailer is like a fantasy of what the game should be. And
right.
then you actually play the game and you're like, oh, what is this dog shit? It's nothing like the
yeah.
trailer.
Not
But that kind of
in-game
goes to prove
footage.
my well, that proves my previous point though, is that like even Microsoft's pulling away because they have their own like Microsoft slash Bethesda
Yeah.
convention, right? So like
And
that's the
Sony
problem
too.
is that like yeah, Sony does, Blizzard does,
Nintendo.
Microsoft does, right? So like the question becomes like if all of these developers are pulling away and doing their own conventions and they want to save all their big stuff for their own convention, like what does E3 serve anymore, right?
Right.
And what I think what they need to do is this revitalization what I would suggest that they do is focus on the indie market because there is still a very healthy indie market that would really benefit from an E3 style thing that wasn't so focused on the big showcase guys, but like gave a market for the indie developers. Is what my suggestion would be.
Yeah, no, it looks like in the article
Well,
they're going to be bringing in a lot more influencers, whatever that is, and probably
oh
focus on the
god,
indie market. But I put this article up here for one reason. I have watched E3 religiously, shit, since the time you were here, Ben. I love E3. I enjoy it. It's a great everything in one place. And you're right. Every one of the big companies have split off and do their own thing at different times of the year, by the way. Sony just had theirs a little while ago. But I liked it all being in one place where I could go watch it. And especially during most of the time I've seen it, where it's nothing political, it's just, hey, games. And I really enjoyed E3. And it looks like it is dead because I don't know how they're going to revitalize it because everybody's pulled out. They're all doing their own thing. And the politic is so steeped in it these days. I don't
well,
know how in the hell they can do it. It's a crying shame, if you ask me.
it's a combination of what all you guys are saying. I think it's also E3 was also like one of those things like if you was a gamer that was something like you wanted to go see in
Yeah,
person,
it's
like
an
you
annual
wanted to go
event,
in
dude.
person to see.
Yeah,
And just like a lot of these events, they're way overpriced for what they give you. There's too many, there was mentioned, too many bait and switches where you get these big theatrical trailers to where they actually had to put on the bottom of the screen not actual gameplay. So you're getting year in and year out, you're getting these big theatrical um, trailers, selling you on hype, but
Almost
nine
like a
times out of ten, you don't get that. You don't get that in the game, and then you got the people who come out. They really, too many of them, I'm just gonna say, are not good at their job of selling you on this particular game, and also, um, the events is there's too many gaming. It's too focused on appeasing the gaming journalists and not the gamers. To give the cocksuckers over at Polygon and Kotaku something to talk about, but most game fans are like, that mean,
yeah. No,
I mean,
the enthusiasm is going down for 5 years, I'd say. But I get it. Nothing lasts forever. You know, but I just go to miss it because and Ben can attest to this because he's lived overseas. That particularly living over here, way back in the day, it was hard for us to get any kind of Western content. It was really difficult. We had to jump through a bunch of hoops. These days, with VPNs and the explosion of multiple things like YouTube and all those kind of stuff. It's very easy for the companies to communicate now. And I understand
I
why the E3 is dead. I get it, but I just it's sad. I'm gonna miss it. That's all.
it's
Can I
sad,
say
but
one
I
thing
I
with the
think
gaming industry on topic with this?
Sure.
I feel like the gaming industry over the last 10 years is, it's constantly changing. But E3, you used to have every year, every other year, you'd have changing, like Skyrim coming out, massive open world, just new Halo when that came out. You had games that were unheard of. You've never had anything like this. Graphics are nonstop going up. And we've hit a point in technology where games are we're at that point, it's like in the artisan age, where you hit a point that the graphics are so good. How do you do better? You're
Well,
already lifelike in imaging, and gaming developers, especially the big ones, seem to still have that idea. What's a good example of this?
well, they're kind of
Far Cry.
reverting, to be honest. But yeah, okay, go ahead.
Well, like a good example would be Far Cry. Far Cry, 1, 2, 3 were just game breaking when they came out. And then they had that idea of, okay, we need to release a new one every year. And back in the day,
Yeah, Call of Duty.
that
Yeah,
was rough, but you could do it. But nowadays, people expect a certain level of quality with the graphics running smooth that all of our big AAA titles, I feel, are just getting curb stomped by the idea of you got these big companies where, okay, we need to pump out a brand new mega hit for E3 for these big shows just to be on time.
right.
So,
Yeah,
to keep up with the old standards, so we're getting worse quality content, on a
unfinished
release
games.
where
Yeah,
now we're hitting,
it's true.
yeah, we're getting unfinished games because they want to live up to that hype of,
Yeah,
okay, we need to have the big thing for this year's E3,
yeah,
and you're just killing the developers. They can't even fix this stuff properly the first time, and that's why I feel like we're having issues with, say, Fallout 76, the new Call
right.
of Duties, the new Far Cry. Pretty much every major title has had some
Cyberpunk.
major
Yeah,
issue right
yeah.
off the
No,
bat. Why
no.
can't we have a game just good out the box anymore?
Well, they should stagger themselves, and they clearly didn't. I get your point, and I did watch all the big presentations, of course. But I'm kind of like I guess this is just a little bit of sad for me losing something. But I'm actually on with what Ben had said. I mean, sure, I watched the big presentations, but most of the stuff I watched was all the little indie games, and then walking around the floor and showing everything off, and the interviews with all these cool creators, not necessarily big dudes, the little dudes and I loved it. It was a great moment, annual moment in games, video games for me.
The thing
Um,
I miss about all of it, about E3 especially, is E3 back in the day when I was in high school growing up, and then when I was a young man. E3 was so much pageantry. It had a ceremonious feel to it, and it was a ceremony, and it was a pageantry celebrating the gaming industry. Right, it was a big pageant, and it hasn't felt that way. At least not the few times I've caught it in a long time. It feels very much like corporate, which it always was, but it feels very corporately produced. Maybe I'm just older and I see it now. I don't know. Like shilling instead of a celebration, it feels like a sale,
Yeah,
and that's
well, yeah.
the problem. And
Past
I
five
think
or
that's
six
one of the
years haven't
reasons
been as
why.
good, but
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why it's kind of going away and has
yeah,
been kind of going away, and why you see these companies who, while yes, obviously what they're doing is they're trying to sell you something, they're doing their own thing and typically putting a little bit more stuff into it, a little bit more gravitas, a little bit more pageantry, or they're toning it way down and having a totally different marketing strategy where they just kind of talk to you,
oh, I swear to
right?
God, I
They're
want to
doing one
kick
or the
the
other.
8-bit people right
I
square
feel
in the
like a big
balls, dude. I
issue with
swear to
it
God.
is cell
Hold on a
phone.
second, Tower. Hold on a second. Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't like that regression, but I do have to ask Eric a question. Eric, do you know what a
Yes.
video game is?
Of course I do. Yes.
Okay, good. Have you ever watched E3 ever?
I used to watch it every year, like a.
Oh, okay,
It
good.
wa- it was it
Whew.
was
All
like
right.
it was the AC Day Parade when I was a kid at Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
That's the way it felt in my
exactly,
Yep.
teenager years and my
Yeah.
early 20 years
exactly.
for E3.
That's
Yes.
right. Yeah. It was very exactly like Macy's. Yeah. It was an annual event. Yeah. And I get everything everybody's saying, and you're all right. It's just, it's sad, man. I liked everything being one place. Um, I don't know.
One thing I'll say after the pandemic is hopefully winding down here. It seems to be anyway. Pretty much is over for most people. I'd say nobody even really talks about it. But it was nice watching. Last night I watched the first night of WrestleMania. I'm going to watch the rest of it tonight after we're done here. Um, in the pageantry of WrestleMania, it's just so nice. It's so nice to just have that every now and
Sure.
again, right? This grandiose ridiculousness that WWE and Vince McMahon especially are known for. And E3 kind of had that for a while, especially like he was talking about like Halo 2 and stuff around that era. Oh my god. E3 was huge. It was huge. It was a
Yeah.
massive
It was
event.
cool. And you end up playing games that you wouldn't even known about. That was
Yeah.
so it
Right.
actually did
Yeah.
its job. But yeah, no, I end of an era, I guess. But
Chester
yeah,
blame cell phones for part of that, though. Nowadays, you can, if you want to know what the newest games are and anything, you just look it up. You can find every trailer ever made. Anything you ever want to know about anything, you can find on your phones nowadays.
true.
Where back in the day, or like, and I'm sort of feel lucky that I grew up on the very tail end of not having cell phones everywhere,
Uh-huh.
because I still remember that a little bit of the idea you turn on the TV and you watch E3 or you go there in person and there's stuff you've never heard of, this
Yeah, yeah.
huge event to spread information. I mean, it's almost not relevant anymore
Hmm.
because
Well,
everything you find out in E3 you can find out anyways just on your phone.
I are you sitting down, Tower? Are you sitting? Okay,
Yes.
good. I don't own a cell phone.
Oh man.
Mhm. Yeah.
Real old. He's a real old man.
Yeah, yeah, I don't need one of them. But anyway,
Need a cell phone when you're on a mountain.
well, that's true. I do.
And a
But
yacht.
and a yacht. Yeah, you guys really hate my yacht.
Really hot cousin.
Near Automa, that
Don't
was a
forget
good
the
game.
fertility castle.
That's a responsibility. Okay. But anyway, I didn't want to get into some big, huge conversation about it. I was just, it's sad. That's all.
Yeah.
Sad one.
Yeah. Anyway.
Here we go.
Oh
Here
God.
we go. Everybody's
What?
favorite. Here we go. After being arrested and
Oh,
posting bail, Akama, holy shit! Miller escorted off. I'm so excited. Escorted off a property after allegedly committing theft and threatening a couple. That's Chester. Punctuation from Trent.
I know.
Oh,
It is impressive.
oh, I'm a
Although
flutter. My heart's a flutter.
he forgot the period.
But
But
listen.
there's comma. There's a comma. There is a comma. But here's the thing. What the hell's going on with Ezra Miller? This is his second report in what, a week? I mean, he
Yeah.
got arrested at a bar, and now he's getting arrested literally breaking into someone's home who he doesn't know, assaulting them in their home
right.
and stealing shit.
right.
What the
I
hell
want
is
to
going on
remind
with
you,
Ezra
Chester,
Miller?
real quick. I just want to remind everybody here that Johnny Depp was fired from his contract with the same company he's contracted to
For getting
for
beat by
a
his
lie.
wife.
Yeah, for something that didn't happen. Whereas this guy has, in 1 week, committed not one but probably 2 felonies, and he's
It seems so.
still contracted. So, okay.
What's going on, Ezra? Well, you're having problems, Ezra. You're a
He's
rich
probably
man.
just
Privileged.
just partying too hard. I mean, I'm worried he's going down a dark path, and like one of these headlines could be of a much worse, like wrapped his car around a tree type of thing. So
Yeah, no, yeah, like River or
I-
like Shia LaBeouf or
I'm
something like
hoping
that. Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Fuck Ezra Miller.
Yeah,
Privileged junkie goat fucker. This
well,
guy.
Okay.
This guy's. I mean, let's just call it what it is.
Well,
This
he
guy's.
does
Yeah,
this
he's-
shit. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
he
What
is a
did you
piece
say,
of-
Ben?
This guy. He's
There was some little
the
comment.
one
He's
thing.
from where? Nobody. Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry, girl. Now go ahead.
He, no, the reason why he called him a goat fucker is because he literally, wasn't there some story about
No,
him
we
fucking a
covered
goat?
it. He lives
Yeah.
on a polyamorous goat farm, and we didn't understand what that meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
confusing, and he
yeah.
was hugging a goat and doing sexy things around a goat, and the photography.
You
is
know
real.
way too much about Ezra Miller, but I
Well,
have to
it's
say,
not my
around
fault. That's Booster's fault. That is 100% Booster's fault.
Runs
Yeah.
around with a carrot between his ass cheeks on a farm, and we're supposed to act like it's normal.
yeah,
He
no,
is
there's
a
nothing
weirdo.
normal about Ezra. Nothing
But
normal about Ezra.
I guess I'm leaning
No,
more
if
towards the other side of it because it feels like we're about to see Ezra Miller implode, maybe in a fatal way. And I don't
Did we
want
forget
that.
about him choking a woman?
Yes,
It's
no, I
true.
know it's been
Like
going
for
on for a
for
while.
all we're supposed
He
to.
did choke slam a woman in what appeared to be like a Menards or something to
It was
that
like
effect.
no, it
We're
was
supposed to-
Iceland,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're
Well,
supposed
yeah,
to
but
be
it was some
pretending
sort of
that we
sword.
care about women. This
Look at him.
professional fruitcake chokes a
It looks-
woman, doesn't lose his job, gets. In fact, they rewarded him by giving him a multi-movie deal after choking the woman.
You guys don't
Yeah.
have any compassion at all for him, huh?
No.
Nah,
No.
somebody needs to beat the fuck out of him.
Yeah.
That's what he needs. He
In
needs a
fact,
good
if he had
old-fashioned
broken
ass
into my
whooping.
house, we
Fair.
wouldn't be having this conversation at all because I'd
Fair
be
enough.
in jail and he'd be in the ground. So there's that.
Why is there the double standard in that? If you, I don't care where you are in fame, whatever. If you lay your hands on a woman or a child, I mean, there's no excuses to that.
Oh no, he's wrong. I understand. I agree. Everything he does is wrong, and he's a bit of an idiot. He's an attention whore. I understand all that. I get it.
See,
But I'm just saying that this guy is clearly out of control, right? Someone in his life needs to get up hold of him for his own sake, is what I'm saying.
He needs
Yeah,
an ass whooping. That's what you would do with people like that. You'd whoop it. You'd take a good friend, would take him out back and whoop his ass.
Yep.
And when he got done sniffing and crying for his goat lover, you take him back in the house. Say, don't do that shit again. I'm gonna take you back out and do it again.
Okay, I got to write this down. Ezra
That's-
is a trigger warning. Okay.
It's not a trigger warning. It's just that the dude's a piece of shit. If this dude was a normal dude doing the kind
be
of
in
shit
jail.
he's done, because he has
He'd be in
shown
jail,
violent and dangerous behavior.
He
This dude is
He
this. And it's multiple instances. It's not even like
Yeah, no, I
a one
agree.
off.
He should be arrested. He should be charged. I agree with everything you're saying. I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying that does no one love him because he's clearly on a bad
Somebody
path
at Warner
here, dude.
Brothers must.
I guess maybe the goat turned him down. I don't know. Maybe he's heartbroken.
Somebody at Warner Brothers must love this dude unequivocally because my God, what does it take to get fired from that place? Apparently, you have to be accused by a redhead that you beat her when there's audio evidence you didn't. But that's enough. But beating
So
multiple women,
you're saying the woman he choked was
which is strange to me, right? So Johnny Depp was fired because of the
And
allegations
he's
he was
super
abusive.
liberal too. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, he was abusive to Amber Heard, right? It was just an allegation. We know now that wasn't true. As far as we could tell, he never laid a hand on her, or if he did, it was in self-defense totally. This guy has not once, but twice now attacked women. Broken into a couple's home, attacked the wife. And in fact, no, 3 times, because
Three
the other one
times. The other
earlier
one was
this week was
physical
a woman
too.
too.
It was
So
physical, yeah.
what does it take? I don't understand. What's the rule? I just want to know the rule. Is my point.
Yeah, yeah.
What's the? Is it? Do they have to be famous? If you hit a famous woman allegedly, that's enough to end your career.
Yeah.
But if you hit just random plebs, well, then it's fine. You can beat all the plebs you want.
Yeah. Well, Eric, I mean, it's a fair question. I mean, both these guys are super liberal. I mean, we're talking about Johnny Depp compared to Ezra Miller. They're super
Right.
ultra liberal. But why does Johnny not even get the slightest, consideration? Even, and we know now it's a complete lie. But Ezra just keeps getting pass after pass after pass. Why, you think?
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with Johnny being a bigger star and it being more publicized and nobody really caring about Ezra Miller.
Hmm.
Which probably explains his behavior. Nobody cares about Ezra Miller, and he can't take
Yeah.
it.
I don't know.
He's desperate. He's a attention whore for sure.
He is.
Yeah.
No, I've seen him in person. He is an actual attention whore, 100%.
Oh yeah, you saw him skipping down the
I
fairway, didn't you?
did, and all the little girls chasing after him. I was like, "Oh, that's not going to work out for you, baby." But
Unless she was in a goat costume,
no,
might have
maybe.
worked out.
But
Wait a minute.
because the biggest telling moment for me was Tom Hiddleston was on the stage, and of course he got this roar because the women loved them some Tom Hiddleston, right? He
Yeah.
got this roar, which I don't get because he's not really the most handsome dude, but the ladies like him. Cool, good on him. But anyway, he's up there and he gets on stage and he starts chatting. Just doing his thing, and the crowd's all eating it up, rather especially the ladies. And Ezra is sitting right next to him, and he's got this weird hoodie that when you can zip it all the way closed, 100%, all the way up to the hood, right? And he keeps doing that, and he's like, he's trying to get attention, even though it's Tom's moment. But he's got to have attention. He is an attention whore. Okay, I get it. We hate Ezra Miller. Fine, burn in hell, I guess. But I don't know. I feel bad for the guy a little bit because clearly he's way out of control, man. And we've seen a lot of Hollywood people burn. I mean, burn bad, dude, because no one around them stopped it. And talking about River Phoenix, for instance, is another one burned up. Keep in mind with our buddy here, Johnny Depp, that we're kind of sympathizing with. He is highly rumored to be the death of River Phoenix because of the little jealousy with Winona Ryder. Let's think about how much shit that girl started. But anyway, I don't want to get off on a tangent there, Ben. But fuck Ezra Miller, I guess.
Don't say.
Let's hope that he gets the help he needs.
That's my
try
point.
to live on a positive note.
Yeah, no,
Fuck 'em.
I fuck him. All right, fine, fuck him. All right, moving on. But I don't know. It's like Jesus, dude, man. I mean, come on, buddy. Oh well. Anyway, last one.
Basic Instinct star Sharon Stone in talks to star as villain in DC Blue Beetle movie.
Although I hear last attempts to be a DC villain weren't good. Let's hope this one goes better.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing with Catwoman. And honestly, I didn't mind her in Catwoman. I don't think she was the really big problem. But it wasn't a good movie. Fair enough. But she's definitely old now. And she's going to be in the Beetle, and she's going to be playing. They're going with I thought it was interesting to talk about. So let me go through it here. She's going to be playing. Which one is it? She's going to be playing a made-up character called Victoria Cord. Kind of Cord is a little bit Easter egg to the original Blue Beetle, right? And so it's a made-up character for the thing completely. They're using this boy from Cobra Kai is going to be Blue Beetle. Is that a good choice? Anybody?
I don't think he's a bad choice.
Because I know you guys like Cobra Kai, the Miguel Diaz kid.
No, I think he's good. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree.
I think
Oh,
he'll
it's
do a
gonna
good
be
job, actually.
Zolo Mari Due or whatever his name is. Okay,
Yeah,
because
he's
I don't
good on
know.
that show.
Yeah, okay, cool. I don't know anything about him. But I think it's
He's a little,
unfortunate.
he's a little tall for him, though. Isn't the Blue Beetle guy? Isn't he kind of a shorty? Am I thinking of somebody else?
Well, I mean, I don't think it's that egregious. But it is another situation for me that okay, you have this version, which is what, the third Blue Beetle or fourth. Why are we not getting the first live action adaptation? I mean, in something serious of the original Blue Beetle, but it doesn't matter. This one seems to be popular. I actually like the Miguel character. Um, uh, you know, it is odd to me that Sharon Stone is in something. But yeah, but it
Shame.
might be good. Well, it might be good. It could be good. But I just thought it was an interesting thing because she's really old, dude, and she hadn't done anything in a long time.
We'll see. We'll see if it turns out well. I don't have much faith in this Blue Beetle film, not because of the star, just because I don't have faith in DC to produce good quality content.
Yeah.
Uh, they haven't really given me a reason to have faith in them. But we'll see. Hopefully, it's fantastic. Hopefully, it's the best thing since Superman in 1978 or whatever it was. Hopefully, it's the best movie of all time, superhero movie, but I highly doubt it.
Well, what is your
She's only 64, Chester.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
thought she was in her 80s.
yeah, so did I, dude. I didn't know she's young. Sorry, young. 64 young. But what do you guys think about the choice of going with the Miguel Blue Beetle instead of the original or the second?
I think it's fine. I mean, it's the one that's because they're going for the version that people are most familiar with, not from the comics, but like from the cartoon
Sure,
series,
sure. That's
and
true.
and that's the one that most modern audiences are very familiar with. Like, let's be honest, Chet. Like from the original comics, not a super well known character,
No, that's
right? From
fair. I understand that. And they did a good job with the Miguel character in the animated series. I thought he was well done. Yeah, I do agree with that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I guess that's all. Do you think there's any thing in it, the fact that they don't want to put another white man up and a Latino is a better choice? You think there's any of that thinking going on?
I mean,
No,
maybe, but like, again, I think it's mostly from what is in the current cultural
Yeah.
zeitgeist, more than that.
Yeah, I'd agree with it. I mean, because like I said, we were talking about what was it, Young Justice he was on, or Teen
Right,
Titan?
Young Justice.
Young Justice.
Yeah,
Yeah, they did a really good job with the character. They really
yeah,
did.
and
Yeah.
that's the one that most people are frankly familiar with. Like,
Yeah.
it's only parts like you and I who remember the original, right? But again, like it's like Star Lord, right? Like they did the more modern take on Star Lord, not the original take on Star Lord,
Sure.
and that's the one that most modern people were familiar with. So that's what they tend to do, right? Is what is the most modern take on the character that is closest in the current cultural zeitgeist.
Yeah. No, that's true. In the Guardians, did they have a Corsair Easter egg? Did I see that?
I think they did.
Yeah, I think they did, and that
Yeah,
was interesting because, of course, that's Havoc and Cyclops' dad, right?
yeah,
And
right.
yeah, so but of course we're talking Marvel versus DC here, but I don't
or
know. And
Starjammers.
I was told Starjammers, I know, but I would talk about the main guy, Corsair,
Yeah,
because
I know. I'm saying more. We need more of them.
yeah, they're a rougher bunch than the Guardians, that's for sure, because they are scoundrels. But nevertheless, anybody else have anything to say on Blue Beetle being made and Sharon Stone being in it?
Um,
I'm happy Blue
no.
Beetle being made. I'm just kind of like, why is Sharon Stone in it? Like, I
Yeah, it's
guess I
weird.
don't. Yeah, it is a little bit weird because again, this kind of goes back to my thing of like, you know, and you can claim ageism on me on this, whatever, that's fine. But like, normally for these movies, they kind of like to have actors who can come back, a little bit down the road.
Hmm.
With the Marvel thing, I mean, they've been doing these movies for like a decade, right? And so, or more, and so they have
Yeah.
characters who circle back in, right? That's one of the problems they're going to have now because they've lost Thunderbolt Ross, right?
Yeah, no,
So
that's
Well,
true.
yeah, so I don't know. It's just kind of weird. It's like you couldn't find. I mean, is she literally being hired because she's Sharon Stone and they couldn't
Must
find?
must be,
Probably.
right?
That's
And
kind of what I'm
she,
thinking.
Uh,
she's not 80.
I mean,
I,
I guess there's that.
Yeah.
Not
It
eighty.
is weird.
I have a theory.
Hmm.
it goes to one of my bigger complaints with comic book and superhero movies is that just need to kill the villain that they do with a lot of those movies. So
All right.
considering that she's going to be an original character, which I'm fine with that because that's that gives them leeway to hopefully do something creative, and it doesn't fuck up an established character. And if they kill her off, it's like, well, you made her just for this, so have at it.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I agree. She's probably
I
going to die for sure. Yeah.
I support the idea of them making their own characters. I
Hmm.
don't know if I support it in the origin movie. Though. That seems like the
Well,
wrong
this
place
isn't
to
going
do
to be
that.
an origin. It's going to be. It's going to be the.
Well, it's still the original. It's the first one, right? Like I don't know if that's the place to do it. And that's just. I mean, it could work out fine. I don't know. It just seems like an odd place to start making new characters.
Shit.
Is right when you're first starting to tell the story.
Right.
When there's other characters already in the story that you're either going to have to omit or at least lessen, right, to
No, sure.
put this character in.
Well, at least they are
So
giving an homage to Ted Cord, though, in the name.
that is good.
But I have to say Jamie Reyes. It's a good name, though. That flows pretty well. It's a good name. But yeah,
And
so
Yeah, don't they call him Jaime?
and I'm
Because the
yeah,
the
yeah,
Spanish way of saying J,
maybe.
even though they're speaking English,
yeah,
which doesn't
behind
make
me.
any sense.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
it's actually interesting because considering that usually going back to your theory about not having the white leads, usually quite a few of the Latino characters have been race swapped to black too. So to actually have a
That's true.
Latino lead, it's like interesting.
Yeah,
They're doing
no,
something different.
I agree. I don't mind the Jamie Reyes character at all. I think it was very well done in the comic. I liked it in the animated series. I think it's cool. He doesn't have the engineering and the science that Cord had, of course. But it's cool. I think it's interesting, and I think it could be fun. Hopefully they don't go too kiddie with it like they did with Spider-Man. Hopefully it'll be a little bit more middle of the road. But it's not going to be that brutal, I know. But I think it's over pretty cool. You know what's I've been thinking about since we've been sitting here talking here is you guys remember the Eric Bana Hulk movie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And
with Sam Elliott's Thunderbolt.
that's right. And how much hate that movie got. Yeah. I just watched it again recently because like there was nothing else to watch. And you know, I get that it isn't a perfect movie, but that is one of the most comic booky movies ever made.
It
It is
really was.
so faithful.
It gets a lot of hate because I think because Ang Lee went with a more comic style presentation, and
Very.
he was
Yeah.
coming off the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, the hype of all of that, and
Yeah, no. And of
Mick
course the Nick Nolte ending was not good choice.
was
Uh
the ending. The ending was dumb, but
it was.
that
But
part
I
that
love
part
the
with Hulk
presentation.
taking those tanks apart.
Oh yeah, I mean the CG needs to be upgraded clearly, but I mean just the comic book aspect, the panels, the zoom ins. You know what it had a lot of. You know what it felt like me. I know it's Ang Lee, but it felt a lot like Raimi, Sam Raimi, because Sam Raimi will do these little montages, quick little teeny montages, right? That kind of
I can
fill
see
in
that.
here
I
and
see
there.
where you're coming from.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
really, watching it again with a more adult mind, I was like, that movie tried real hard, man. It really put effort
Yeah,
into it. I don't think it deserves the hate it gets.
and
Chester, have you seen the? Oh, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Have you seen the posters for movie covers, like the Marvel movies, where they have the poster covers for the more comic book style? Have you seen any of those, Chester?
No, what do you mean?
So when they do a lot of the concept arts for like the movie covers for a lot of these comic movies,
Hmm.
what they do is they usually make 2 sketches, and there's a comic styled sketch that's going to remind you of the actual comic books and all that, the more cartoonish look.
Yeah.
And then they actually have the one where it's like the main character, the big Hollywood celebrities.
Oh, sure, the face
and
on the cover.
It's always just generic look. They actually were doing a study into it, and the reason, and this is, I like more the comic book style of it personally, but apparently they did a study on it and found that most people, like the average viewer who's not into the comic books per se, find the whole idea of having all the main characters on the front page that will sell better than having the main comic, like Spider-Man. Instead of using the main actors, they'll use the main actors because people are going to look and be like, okay, that's Holland in there, so they're going to want to go watch it, people who they're familiar with, instead of having the more cartoony style, like comic, true to word comic book of Spider-Man slinging webs right there with this action styled front cover page that you'd expect out of a comic book.
Yeah, no. I see what you're saying. Talking about. To be honest, we could have a very long conversation about movie posters, not only about how they're done and produced, but also how they're used around the world. Because understand, any movie poster you see, there's probably a dozen versions of it in different countries. Because they do like that. You don't have one poster that's universal around the world. It doesn't work like that. They will cater to each individual culture. And so, I mean, talking about movie posters could be a fun conversation, but that will take time. Maybe I should do a TFT on there, a special on it. But yes, thank you, Sheldon. God damn it. All right, here we go. Let me come back over this side. Well, anyway, interesting conversations. If you haven't seen the Eric Bana Hulk, go watch it, man. It actually is not as bad as you might think it is.
I cannot go back and watch it again.
Okay, fine, Eric.
No, I'll tell you why. Because I took my son at that time when that came out. I was probably 6.
Mhm.
Huge Hulk fan. Huge Hulk fan. Came out of the theater. He goes, "Dad, that sucked." Yeah, I know, son.
Yeah,
I
well,
know.
it's fair. I mean, it has problems, but I mean, Ang Lee tried so hard, man. It's such an honest attempt at a comic book movie. Like for instance, if you go look at something like, say, what's another good example? Like, well, so I mentioned Sam Raimi. So Sam Raimi's Darkman more than Spider-Man, I'd say in this analogy.
Yeah.
But I mean, Darkman really felt like a comic book in the movie, right? And
Yeah.
he really did it well. And I feel that Ang Lee was somehow trying to exude the Sam Raimi in when he made that movie. It just has some really interesting things as a comic book fan. I appreciate the effort, is what I'm trying to say.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tried.
He did. He did. Do you prefer the Edward Norton one?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. But but we don't have him anymore. We have an absolute jackass now.
Yeah. I know.
I mean, Mark Ruffalo is the biggest jackass of all jackasses. I mean,
He is.
can someone
And
name a
and
bigger
and
jackass?
and that fight with the Abomination was pretty fun.
It was fun. It was fun. But yeah, and it's unfortunate. And this, I'm kind of curious to end on this because I do need to end and get moving on with my day. But is it becoming? I know for me this is true. Is it becoming harder and harder to separate the asinine actions of the actor or actress from the movie character? You know, I never used to think about it. I mean, there's plenty of people who are jackasses in real life, and I didn't even care just watching a movie. But these days, it's so politicized. The SNS out there is put in our face all the time, and every time I see Mark Ruffalo's face, it's just punchable, and therefore it's affecting my ability to view movies he's in. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. No,
Well,
I do.
y- yeah, because it's not only that, it's that if it's also if you suck at your job. Like Chris Evans, I don't care much for his political takes. I think most of his political takes are trash.
Sure.
But he is Captain America.
He
Like
is.
when you see him on the screen, he's Steve Rogers. He acts like Steve Rogers. Nobody Steve Rogers.
You don't
Mark
like
Ruffalo.
Ruffalo's? You don't like his? Okay.
No, he's by far the worst. I mean, if I could
Yeah,
dig up the
I agree.
remains of Bill Bixby and put him in the movie, I would rather just see the rotting remains of Bill Bixby than Mark Ruffalo. Because not
Well,
only does he
yeah.
have a lot of shit takes, he's not a good Bruce Banner. He's not.
No, he's not a good Bruce Banner. I understand what you're saying. Whereas Bixby really
And
sold
then
the
somewhere
scientist
along,
well. He did. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and then somewhere along the way, somebody told that cocksucker he was funny, and he's not. And there's nothing worse than an unfunny person trying to be funny.
I honestly think in the movies, the best one is probably Edward Norton. He
Yes.
just that movie was solid, pretty
Yeah,
much from beginning to end.
he's a good actor, but did he sell the scientist to you though?
No, but they didn't try to really in that one. It was a very strange deal there, the way they structured it. I think they were almost. It was almost like they were trying to avoid it, and that's a problem. One of the problems that a lot of these Marvel movies have, in movies in general, is they're trying to write geniuses with idiots, and that doesn't
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, and you see the same problem when people are writing immortals.
Yeah,
Interestingly, one of the best written immortal scripts I've seen is The Strain from Del Toro, right? Guillermo del Toro. Do you ever see
Well, I
the
mean,
TV show The
he's a
Strain?
right. He's solid all around. Great director, great writer. That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, but his immortal really worked, right? There are several immortals, but there's one particularly immortal, the son of spoilers, but son of the big bad guy, and he really plays like he's immortal, and that's difficult. You have to an immortal character is not going to think or talk like a teenager, right?
right.
And it fails constantly. They fail at this. They constantly fail at this. Another
One of the
example is science.
problems,
Yeah,
one of
science
the
fails.
problems World of Warcraft has right now, especially, is they have these characters that are tens of thousands of years old that are stupid, that do stupid things, irrational things
Yeah,
that I just don't believe would happen for a character that's supposedly extremely wise and learned and
right.
ancient. It doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't.
Um,
And unfortunately, we know that Guillermo is really good at what he does. We just need more of that. And I was making the immortal analogy to the scientist because you don't see a lot of scientists portrayed well. Now, the reason I mentioned that with Eric Bana is he's more of the nerdy Bill Gates type of scientist, but he plays it well. I believe
hmm,
he's a scientist. You know what I
interesting.
mean?
Well, it's directed by, for all intents and purposes, especially at that time, someone who was considered a genius when it comes to movie making. And as far as that, I don't know how if anybody would say that still nowadays, especially after that movie. But at that time, people thought this dude was the next big thing, right? They were pushing him through to the moon, and then that movie happened.
Oh,
But
you're talking about Malignant. Uh, yeah, no, I kind of think a lot of people miss the point of that movie, dude.
mm,
I
probably
really do. I think they're missing the irony. It's supposed to be ironic, and people are taking it as practical, and well, he didn't make it that way. Now, should he been allowed to go off on a rail like that, kind of like what Kojima did with that really weird Death Stranding, because he went out on a
yep,
rail? Um, Maybe not, but I think people really misunderstand what Ang Lee was doing with Malignant.
I mean, we see this from artists all the time, right? They let Zack Snyder go off on a rail with Sucker Punch, and that was just a, a weird, like,
Yeah,
trip movie. Like,
yeah,
I cannot say it had interesting visuals, but I cannot say it was a good movie,
no,
right?
yeah.
It's a pretty movie.
It was interesting, but it falls in the same category. Yeah,
be
You
right
make
back
a
real quick.
great director or photography or something like that, but as a movie maker, as a storyteller, if he's not working off of pre-written material, like he has a lot of trouble.
Yeah, he really does.
yeah, yeah. Fair enough. But anyway, I do need to run. I got to get myself to work. But interesting conversations today. I know that one was going to hurt, and it did. It was painful. But it just does. It doesn't make. I understand what you guys are saying. It just doesn't make sense to me because it's not a political conversation. It has nothing to do with
Chester, you live
politics.
in a sane
Don't open
country.
that can back up.
I'm not.
You,
You're right. Thank you, Eric.
It's
do it
because Chester
politely.
lives in a sane country who typically, the politicians there, at least from outside, maybe inside it's different, but from outside looking in, they tend to actually do their damn job.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
whereas
You
the
know,
politicians here only care about enriching themselves, typically.
when
So,
I went to the onsen this last week, I had onsen girls.
oh,
Yeah, it's nice. They come up and they stir the water and they keep it hot and they sing little songs. It's cool. You ever do that over here, Ben?
I mean, I went to Odin all the time, but it was just a bunch of dudes in there.
Oh, you didn't have the onsen
oh,
girls? You never went to one
No,
of those? Yeah.
no.
It's cool. They keep the water hot and they have the little you've seen the stick, right, where they stir the water to mix the hot water quickly and they sing little songs and stuff like that. It's kind of cool. I liked it. So,
I
anyway.
mean, I used to go to Odin all the time.
Yeah. That must have been weird, dude. You're kind of like a floating hair mat.
No, I got a lot of looks just because I'm big, hairy, and gaijin. So yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of eyes on me when I was
No,
there.
no,
So
no. Hairy is not the word for you. Hairsuit would be the
Sasquatch,
word for you. Yeah.
Sasquatch, Silverback, something like
Yes,
that. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. It's a bit shocking, actually. It's a missing link issue. But anyway, we're going to move on. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. Anybody got anything they want to say before we get out of here? No? Okay. Thunder, take us out, man.
I'll read you a little poem I wrote for my book. The wicked have taken the many. Where are the blades of the righteous? Where are the flames of the just? For what cause do they tarry? The sun has gone down for the poor. Where are the alms of the wealthy? Where are the aids of the noble? For what sloth do they abjure? The night has taken the chaste. Where are the words of the sacred? Where are the vows of the pure? For what quiet do they waste? Where are the blades of the righteous? Where are the alms of the wealthy? The wicked have taken the many. Pray now, they tarry no more.
Wow. I feel like I need heavy metal music. So therefore, namaste. Later.